Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Great Voyage. Let you play cubes, you dig through the upside-down mountain. Chapter 61. Although the current sailing technology is good, sailing is still far inferior to steamships. Once the ship is built, the sailing ships of the age of great navigation, including warships, are scum. Since they chose to fight against the world government, they would naturally have to crush the opponent first in terms of shipbuilding technology. When the time comes to really fight a naval battle, they will have an absolute advantage. In addition, the efficient use of oil can also bring about technological progress. As long as scientists are willing to research, all kinds of production machinery powered by oil will be invented, productivity will naturally increase, and national strength will also increase. At the same time, it can also be applied to the military industry. It might not be impossible to use things such as tanks and aircraft. It can be said that as long as you make good use of it, the future is limitless. But Zhou Lin buried this idea in his heart for the time being, and now he will fight Crocodile first, and then try to find a way to see if he can win Alabasta. If it doesn't work, you can also use the method of leasing to enclose the land, and then get rid of all the oil. Anyway, he's ordering Alabasta's oil. Afterwards, Zhou Lin took out a cube of water to wash himself and Bonus, and then moved on. It took about 2 days to finally reach the rainy land. Then head straight to Crocodile's casino. As soon as we approached the casino, we saw Alabasta's soldiers becoming more numerous. After careful observation, it was discovered that these soldiers seemed to be monitoring the rain field, more precisely, the crocodile. It seems that the king cobra is not at ease with Crocodile. After all, this sand crocodile is a big pirate who dares to fight with Whitebeard, and has the legal plunder status of Shichibukai, so he has to be careful. Coupled with the fact that Zhou Lin occupied the Cape Franc earlier, Cobra had to be extremely vigilant against Crocodile. However, Zhou Lin just glanced at these soldiers and didn't take it too seriously. He took Bonus straight to the casino and exchanged chips like other guests. While gambling absent-mindedly, he secretly uses observation hockey to find someone. At this moment, there seemed to be a commotion in the rainy land. A group of pirates suddenly started to rob, scaring many people to run away, and the patrolling soldiers immediately surrounded the group of pirates. It's just that the group of pirates were quite powerful, and Tianbing couldn't eliminate them for a while. At this moment, a sandstorm suddenly flew out from the roof of the casino, and Crocodile was seen killing the pirates with a big golden hook in his left hand. When the pirates saw this, they immediately ran away AJCG. However, Crocodile would not let them go, and directly shot out a sandstorm, and wiped out all those pirates. Seeing this, the people around showed gratitude to Crocodile, but they were a little afraid that Crocodile was a pirate after all. From the looks of it, it will take quite a while for Crocodile to completely gain the trust of the common people. But that is no longer necessary, because Zhou Lin made a move. I saw Zhou Lin rushing out of the casino suddenly, stepping on the moonwalk and rushing behind Crocodile, raised his foot and made a tempest kick storm, and the dense tempest kick slashed straight towards Crocodile. Crocodile was startled, and hastily dodged elementalization. But it was still a bit slower. A tempest kick slashed right on the back, unexpectedly directly cutting a deep wound, and blood gushed out. This attack brought armament hockey. Logia also kneels. When the people saw this, they immediately dispersed. "Who are you? Why did you shoot at me?" Crow bowed and looked at the man in the cloak carefully, but he couldn't tell who he was. The other party even covered his face tightly, as if he didn't want to reveal his identity. However, the moves used by the opponent are undoubtedly the moonwalk and tempest kick of Marine 6 styles. Could it be said that the opponent is from Marine or world government? My intention to find Pluton was discovered. Crocodile, there are some things that you shouldn't reach out for, and you'll die if you touch them. Zhou Lin said under his throat. ... I do not know what you're talking about. Crocodile forced himself to calm down. You should be from the world government, right? I am already 7 warlords of the sea, and I belong to the world government and marine, so you shouldn't attack me. Zhou Lin hee, we know exactly what your purpose is. It's your fault that your hand is too deep. Let's save your life today. As he spoke, he raised his foot again to strike out a tempest kick. Crocodile quickly elementalized again to dodge, and at the same time raised his hand and made a move of the desert sword. However, Zhou Lin kicked the so-called treasured sword and scrapped it. Although Crocodile's strength is good, he really has no chance of winning against Zhou Lin. Only the crushed portion. Perhaps Crocodile also sensed the danger, and quickly turned around and flew out of the city. As the king of the desert, as long as he goes to a place full of sand, that is his home field, even if Whitebeard comes, he can't defeat him. However, this is just Crocodile's own idea. Although Logia's fruit ability is very powerful, it is still not enough to face a really strong opponent. Zhou Lin first gave Bonus a look, and then followed behind Crocodile. Bonus turned around and went back to the casino, and immediately started making moves. The casino is full of mobs, no effort at all. Bonus didn't even use his fruit ability, he simply used his fists to knock down all the people in the casino, and then packed away all the money in the casino. Everyone has come, so naturally they can't leave empty-handed. Crocodile's life will be taken, and Crocodile's money will not be spared. And when Zhou Lin started to attack Crocodile, all parties received the news. After all, Crocodile is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, so it is naturally attracting attention. The key point is that the quota for Shichibukai is not yet full, and someone wants to kill Crocodile. This is undoubtedly a slap in the face of the world government and marine. Soon even Kong learned of this, and immediately ordered the CP organization and marine to investigate the identity of the perpetrator. King Cobra of Alabasta naturally also received the news, and quickly sent Bell, one of the patron saints of the country, to investigate. Here, Crocodile came to the open sand, and immediately recovered his original arrogance, looking at Zhou Lin as if he was looking at a dead person. I don't care who you are now, if you dare to attack me, you will die. Arc Moon Sand Dunes. Swish. A huge sand blade in the shape of an arc moon swept over. Zhou Lin unhurriedly raised his foot to break the sand blade, then used the razor, dodged in front of Crocodile, and kicked him in the abdomen. Crocodile was fairly alert, and immediately elementalized and successfully dodged. As expected, I just came back from New World, and it is still a little level. If it were anyone else, he would have fallen under Zhou Lin's feet long ago, but Crocodile hid relatively easily. Of course, this is also related to Zhou Lin's lack of effort. Originally, Zhou Lin thought that he could easily take down Crocodile, but it seemed that he underestimated the other party, but it will not be that simple, and Zhou Lin doesn't want to waste too much time. Heavy Shalon. A sandstorm appears in Crocodile's palm. Then he swung it towards Zhou Lin, and the wind and sand tornado expanded immediately, forming a huge tornado storm in this area, and the yellow sand blowing all over the sky made people unable to open their eyes. Seeing this, Zhou Lin simply closed his eyes. In the next second, some sand began to gather quickly in front of Zhou Lin as if alive, forming the appearance of Crocodile. And Crocodile immediately stretched out his hand to cover Zhou Lin's neck, and didn't bother to look at Zhou Lin's appearance, and just wanted to suck all the moisture out of Zhou Lin's body. However, Zhou Lin's finger suddenly poked forward quickly. Finger pistol coptitis. Puff, 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 puff. In an instant, a dozen fingers were poked out, hitting Crocodile's chest like a machine gun, and blood gushed from more than a dozen blood holes, which looked very terrifying. Crocodile couldn't help but spat out a mouthful of blood. PFF'd. You were deliberately caught by me. Before he finished speaking, Zhou Lin suddenly swung a knife in his hand, and Crocodile's right arm was cut off immediately, and the severed hand pinching Zhou Lin's neck also flew out directly. Ah, my hand. You fool. It's the only hand I have. I want you to die. Desert Great Sword. Crocodile cursed loudly, and his whole body became crazy. He swung his broken arm forward, and suddenly a sand sword shot out from the ground, heading straight for Zhou Lin's abdomen. However, Zhou Lin's knowledge is not fake, and he has predicted Crocodile's attack a long time ago. So with a slight flash of his body, he easily dodged this terrifying blow. At the same time, he shot another finger pistol, which directly pierced Crocodile's throat. The already mad Crocodile not only had no defense, but even no dodge. He couldn't make a sound, and the blood at the corner of his mouth continued. The majestic 7 warlords of the sea, the big pirate who once fought against the world's strongest Whitebeard, is facing a desperate dead end. Zhou Lin decided to let him die quickly, so while the dust around him hadn't dissipated, and while the possible intelligence agents around him couldn't see clearly, he slapped Crocodile into cubes. The instant he turned into a cube, Crocodile wished he could come alive on the spot. It turned out to be your cube kid. Lousy never offended you, you came to kill Lousy. Why on earth? But he was doomed to never speak again. Because Jolin has decomposed him into corpse cubes and devil fruit black cubes. As for hockey, there seems to be some, but not many. The reason why Crocker is so fierce in New World is mainly because of his magic fruit ability. It can be seen that Logia devil fruit is still extremely powerful. When he put the cube away, Jolin realized that the intelligence agents who might exist nearby should not be very knowledgeable, and they should not be able to see his movements through the dust. But up to now, everything that should be done has been done, and I can't manage so much. So he simply took away the severed hand, leaving as few traces as possible. Jolin returned to the rainy land again, and after meeting Bonus, the two sat on camels again and headed towards Albasta's capital, Albana. As soon as the two of them walked away, someone arrived at the fighting position just now. As a result, I searched around, but couldn't find Crocodile's body, so I guessed it was buried by sand. After all, Crocodile set off such a big sandstorm just now, and only the man in the white cloak came out. No matter how you think, Crocodile is dead. The sand fruit ability person was buried in the sand after death. It seems quite romantic. It's just that Crocodile's majestic big pirate, Shichibukai appointed by the world government and marine, died like this. And who was the man in the white cloak who killed Crocodile? Bell, Alabasta's adjutant guard, also flew to the rainy land at this time, first asked the people in the city, and then found the place where the battle was just now. But nothing was found. Thinking of the man in the white cloak that the common people said, Bell couldn't help frowning. There are too many people wearing white cloaks in the desert kingdom, and there are a lot of them on the street, not sure which one it is. So Bell didn't dare to delay, and hurriedly flew in the direction of Albana, and saw two men in white cloaks riding camels halfway, but didn't care too much, and flew over directly. But Jolin suddenly looked up at Bell, who was flying away, with a meaningful smile. This trip was as smooth as ever. No one would have guessed that he would come to Alabasta, let alone that he would suddenly attack Crocodile. Even Crocodile himself was in a daze. No matter how much Crocodile plays in the original book, it's better to die here. As for sand fruit, Jolin naturally accepted it. The only pity is that the Baroque Work Club has not yet been established, otherwise the devil fruit that can be grabbed is not only this one. It is really a pity the more I think about it. 0.0. Soon, the news of Crocodile's killing reached the ears of many forces. The most shocking one was of course Marine. Sengoku still had a look of disbelief when he received the news, but he didn't pay much attention when he first learned that someone shot Crocodile. After all, that person is using Marine 6 styles. Generally speaking, he is either a Marine or a CP organization. And Sengoku is not worried about what will happen to Crocodile. After all, he is a person who survived from the Whitebeard pirates, and he will definitely not die so easily. However, Sengoku forgot that Crocodile was able to live only because of Whitebeard's mercy. The person who took the shot this time went for Crocodile's life and fruit. It is completely impossible to show mercy, and Crocodile is doomed to escape the fate of death. Who moved the hand? Sengoku tapped on the table and thought about it, ruling out a personal choice in his mind. He wasn't too angry, although Crocodile was one of the newly appointed 7 warlords of the sea, but a pirate was a pirate, and there was nothing wrong with being killed by someone stronger than himself. What Marine has to do is to hunt down the person who made the shot, and then choose a new one. Or, just choose the person who made the shot as the new Shichibukai. Now all we have to do is identify this person. Could it be Cube Kid? The clever Crane Vice Admiral guessed. It seems really possible. Sengoku instantly confirmed in his heart that it was probably 100% small. Cube Kid knows Marine 6 styles, and there have been precedents of deliberately hiding his identity to make trouble before. The most important thing is that this guy likes to make troubles everywhere, but he has been surprisingly quiet recently, so he has to arouse suspicion. Moreover, Capet Frank is not too far away from Alabasta. As long as Cube Boy wants to go to the Desert Kingdom, he can go there casually, and he can go there quietly. As for the other white cloak man, it should be Daz Bonus as expected. It's a pity that Garp is on leave to return to his hometown. Otherwise, if you take a look at the photo, you will be able to tell whether he is a Cube Kid. But the possibility is very high. Let's deal with it as if the other party is a cube kid. Sengoku made a decisive decision. Then, why did Fang Kid kill Crocodile? Crane Vice Admiral questioned his soul. Forehead. 273. Sengoku was speechless. After all, judging from the current information, Jolin and Crocodile have no enmity. Of course, it is not ruled out that Jolin wants to use this to become famous, but he chose to wear a cloak to hide his identity, obviously not wanting to reveal that he did it for the time being. So, why exactly? There may be some secrets in this. Sengoku, after Cube Kid finished killing people, he seems to have gone to Albana, the capital of Alabasta. Could it be that his goal in the first place was Alabasta, and killing Crocodile was just incidental? Crane Vice Admiral put forward a bold conjecture. You mean, there's something in Alabasta? Sengoku is not stupid, and he also knows some of the history of the ancient Alabasta, so he can't help but speculate. So, Sengoku immediately reported this guess to Kong, and Kong also felt that the matter was not small, and quickly reported it to 5 elders. Then, the 5 elders had to meet again. Suspect Cube Kid seems to be looking for Alabasta's secrets. The white curly-haired J. Golucia Satan frowned. The historical text about the protection of Alabasta should be extremely secretive, has it been noticed? The old man with long white hair and straight beard said, perhaps he was thinking too much, that person just went to Albana for other things. The old man with blonde hair and beard immediately retorted, even if there is a slight possibility, don't let it go. The secret guarded by the Alabasta royal family should not be touched by anyone. The old man with the mustache and the bald kimono also agreed, I'd rather kill by mistake than let it go. J. Golucia Satan nodded, that's it, let Marine do it himself to destroy that person. No matter who that person is, they can't be left alive. Throughout, none of the 5 mentioned Crocodile. In their view, the death of a Shichibukai is irrelevant, if the strength is too weak, then another one will be fine. Most importantly, keep Alabasta's secrets secret. Sengoku immediately received the order and made a decision after a little hesitation. Kuzan, you have nothing to do for the time being, this time you take a trip. Remember, no matter who that person is, or what his purpose is, shoot and kill him. Allah, then I'll go and come back. Aokiji got up quickly. At this time, Aokiji is not too lazy, even if he is confused about justice after experiencing Ohara, he still has to work hard to become admiral. Only by becoming a marine admiral first can your own justice be better implemented. Therefore, this task must be completed carefully. New World, a sea area. Whitebeard looked at the contents of the newspaper and paused for a moment, then threw the newspaper aside, not paying much attention to it. He had already given the little crocodile a chance to live, but the little crocodile was killed so quickly, it can only be blamed for the little crocodile's inferior skills. However, Whitebeard was somewhat interested in the guy who killed Crocodile. For what purpose did a guy who didn't even dare to show his face kill Crocodile? Of course, I'm just interested, and I don't intend to delve into it. But Marco, Jose, and Vista are very happy. After all, Crocodile always came to the Whitebeard pirates' site to make trouble, and now he deserves his death. Other big pirates such as Big Mom, Red Hair and the others didn't pay much attention to this news. As for Kaido, he is currently leading his men to fight with the Moria pirates, and has no time to read newspapers. But Doflamingo, who is also a Shichibukai, couldn't help squinting his eyes after reading the newspaper. Even though Jolin was wearing a white cloak, he was still recognized. Doflamingo hated Jolin so much that he could recognize Jolin when he turned into ashes. Jolin, cute boy. You are so cool. Not long after I became a Shichibukai, you killed a Shichibukai first, is this a demonstration to me? This is obviously the aftereffect of being targeted by Jolin. He was tricked by Jolin many times before, and was defeated by Jolin. Now that Jolin killed a Shichibukai in the air, it really seemed to be a warning to Doflamingo. It seems to say, see, you will be killed by me soon. Doflamingo had to think more. He even felt that Jolin in the newspaper was smiling mockingly at him. Yeah, since you want to hide your identity, I won't let you do it. I want to reveal your identity to the whole world. You kill Shichibukai, do you think the Marine and world government will deal with you? Doflamingo seemed to have seen the scene of Zhou Lin being slapped to death by Marine Admiral Sengoku, and the smile on his face was even bigger. Without delay, let Torebel spread the news immediately. Soon enough, it became known to many factions that Cube Kid had killed Crocodile, and the information reached Sengoku and Cobra quickly. Sengoku has Jeju in his hands, because he has already guessed it first. But King Cobra was taken aback. Cube Kid, is that the Cube Kid who dominated the Cape Franchise Kingdom and slaughtered the royal family and nobles? Cobra only felt a headache. Your Majesty, you should immediately request marine support, Guard Captain Ikaram said hastily. That's right, Ikaram, you should contact Naval Headquarters immediately and ask Marine to send someone over immediately, and make sure to stop Cube Boy's possible seizure of power and killing. Cobra was literally terrified. After learning about Capet Frankchi before, I felt that Cube Boy was very dangerous. After learning that it was Cube Kid who killed Crocodile, I feel that Cube Kid is very scary. If he really does something to Alabasta, no one can resist him. At that time, not only the power will be seized, but the royal family, nobles, guards and even the citizens will face endless disasters. Zhou Lin didn't know that he had been exposed and was shunned like a snake by the Alabasta people. He is still walking slowly with Bonnie's. This trip to Alabasta was just a passing trip. Thinking of the rare trip to Alabasta, I simply sneaked into the royal tomb to take a photo of the historical text, which can be given to Robin in the future. Although Robin doesn't like the records related to ancient weapon, since Robin pursues history, ancient weapon is an inescapable topic. Rather than making a special trip back to Alabasta in the future, it's better to get ready for Robin now. Before, Zhou Lin said that he would not consider love and marriage for the time being, but if he could get a good impression of Robin, Feng Lin would definitely be happy. It just so happens that nothing is going on now, and Capet Frank doesn't need to worry about it. It doesn't take much time to walk around the royal tomb. 3 days later, the two arrived outside the city of Albana, but did not choose to enter the city. Because the gate of the city was guarded by heavy soldiers, and one had to go through a face check to enter, it seemed that the news of Crocodile's killing had already spread. Cobra may be so cautious because he is afraid that the murderer will come to Albana. However, Zhou Lin never thought about entering the city like this. Instead, he and Bonis lurked outside the city, quietly digging a tunnel into the city, and even dug towards the direction of the palace. With Zhou Lin's fruit ability, it doesn't take too long to dig out the ground. As expected, the location of the royal tomb was very close to the palace, and Zhou Lin quickly dug into the royal tomb. The soldiers were guarding outside the royal tomb, so they would not find outsiders appearing in the royal tomb out of thin air, which was convenient for Zhou Lin to handle affairs. Looking at the huge cube in front of him, Zhou Lin subconsciously stretched out his hand to stroke it, only to feel it was cold and hard, and unknowingly used his fruit ability but the cube didn't move. There are cubes that I can't control. Zhou Lin was a little surprised, but after thinking about it, he took it for granted. This historical text has a very special power, and it seems that it cannot be destroyed. If the power is enough, it can be moved away, but it is impossible to do other things. Otherwise, this block would have ceased to exist. But Zhou Lin felt it was a pity. If this cube can be controlled, then his fruit ability is undoubtedly a magic weapon. Since the historical text cannot be destroyed, if the historical text is used as a weapon, the lethality is absolutely great, and even a hard punch from Whitebeard will not cause any damage. Zhou Lin couldn't help coveting such a powerful weapon. But there is no way, this block cannot be manipulated. It seems that I have to wait until my fruit ability is awakened to try again. Once I can really control it, I will collect all the historical texts and use them as my magic weapon. Of course, this matter is just a thought for the time being. The thing to do now is to take a picture first. At the same time, Aokiji has arrived in Albana on a bicycle, and has been personally received by King Cobra. The one who came here is called a fast one. Don't want to race your bike on the sea. As the Vice Admiral who is about to be promoted to Marine Admiral, Aokiji is naturally known to Cobra. The moment he saw Aokiji, Cobra breathed a sigh of relief. With Aokiji around, Alabasta will definitely be safe and sound. Your Majesty, is there any news about Cube Kid? Aokiji went straight to the point. Not yet. Cobra shook his head. Before I heard that Cube Kid would come to Albana, I also sent people to check at the gate of the city, but there was no trace of Cube Kid. Aokiji frowned, thinking Cube Kid was trickier than he thought. The reason why Sengoku sent him here was obviously because of Cube Boy's strength. The defeat of the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral was not accidental, so he had to be cautious. But, where has Cube Kid gone now? Aokiji asked. Your Majesty, I heard that Alabasta has a secret. If Cube Kid came here for the secret, wouldn't he already be at the secret place? Cobra shook his head immediately. Impossible. That thing is underground, no one can find it. But that guy can dig holes. This. Cobra was startled immediately. Remembering Zhou Lin's masterpiece of digging through the upside-down mountain, he didn't dare to delay, and hurriedly took Aokiji to the direction of the royal tomb. Aokiji followed without saying a word, and Observation Haki opened his mouth immediately. When Observation Haki followed Cobra and stopped in front of the royal tomb, he caught two figures underground. They're underground. Open the entrance, Aokiji hurriedly urged. Cobra didn't dare to be ambiguous, and immediately opened the entrance, and Aokiji jumped in immediately, only to find that there was no one there at all. And Aokiji was attracted by the huge cube. In other words, this historical text is the secret of the royal family of Alabasta. For a moment, Aokiji was in a trance, thinking of the Ohara incident in his mind. Although he didn't know much about the inside story at the time, he also knew that it was related to the historical text of taboos studied by Ohara scholars. Cobra also hurried in at this time. Where is the person? Where is it? Aokiji pointed to the ground. They have already run away. There are still footprints on the ground. Fine sand falls in the royal tomb all year round. As long as someone comes in, the footprints are absolutely clear. Although Zhou Lin and Bonus left quickly, their footprints stayed behind. Cobra sighed suddenly. It seems that they have taken photos of the words on the square. Aokiji asked, does His Majesty know the contents of these texts? No, I don't know. And Aokiji Vice Admiral should know that this is taboo in the world government. Do you really want to ask? I'm going after Cube Kid. As Aokiji said, he immediately turned around and left the royal tomb, then jumped directly to the highest point of the palace, his eyes scanning the surroundings outside the city. Fortunately, it didn't take long before I saw a head popping out of the ground outside the city in a certain direction. Aokiji jumped there without hesitation. There was a burst of cold air in his hand, and two ice arrows were already on his arms, and then they shot out suddenly. Two thorny spears. Phew, Frostbolt reached that head in the blink of an eye. Zhou Lin, who had just emerged, was taken aback, and quickly raised a fist wrapped around Armament Haki and punched it, forcefully smashing the two ice arrows. In the next second, the pheasant had jumped from the top of the palace not far away. It turns out that you are here. Zhou Lin quickly jumped out of the hole and stood there waiting for Aokiji to approach. Bonus also came out of the cave at this time, and when he saw his boss on guard, he also became vigilant, and fixed his eyes on the curly-haired man who was walking towards him. Brother, you are Cube Kid Zhou Lin, you can take off your cloak now. Aokiji stood still 10 meters away. Hearing these firm words, Zhou Lin sighed helplessly. Sure enough, there are still many smart people in this sea. He thought that he was doing it flawlessly, so that no one would see it, but he didn't expect that others would have already guessed. What was he going to spend all his time covering up? So, he directly tore off the white cloak. The same goes for Bonus. Aokiji stared at Zhou Lin. Brother Zhou Lin, you should explain. Why did you kill Crocodile? Why did you come to Albana? Zhou Lin smiled and said, Aokiji, has anyone ever told you that knowing too much is not a good thing? Allah, it seems that I can only take you down first, and then pry your mouth open. You have to be careful, the order I got is shoot to kill, so I will not show mercy. As Aokiji said, a skate was condensed in his hand. Zhou Lin immediately took out two small cubes, conjured up Sakura-ten and dead wood, took a deep breath and set his posture. Although Aokiji is only Marine Vice Admiral now, he will be promoted to Marine Admiral soon, which means that Aokiji already has the strength of Admiral, so he must not be underestimated. Bonus automatically backed away. This was the second time he saw such a serious expression on his boss. The first time I mentioned Garp, so this curly-haired man is definitely very strong, even the boss must deal with it 100% seriously. Kill. Zhou Lin let out a loud shout and decided to attack first. I saw him stepping forward in small steps, but the two knives dragged on the ground, and where the tip of the knives passed, the ground suddenly turned into squares that flew up, and then quickly spliced together. In the blink of an eye, a huge dragon made of small cubes opened its bloody mouth and bit Aokiji. Aokiji immediately moved forward empty-handed. The cold air on his hands was overwhelming. The ice cubes grew rapidly on his hands, and instantly grew into a huge ice chicken, and the ice chicken immediately rushed towards Sharon. Storm Pheasant's mouth. Boom. Bingji and Sharon crashed into each other and died on the spot. But Zhou Lin hid behind the salon. Seeing that the chicken dragon exploded, he immediately rushed to Aokiji. Sakurashi and Deadwood went straight to Aokiji's head. Allah, it really came. Quote, Aokiji unhurriedly swung the ice blade horizontally and successfully blocked Zhou Lin's attack. Obviously he had already predicted it. Zhou Lin was not frustrated either, and continued to use his double knife style to continuously output attacks on Aokiji. And Aokiji also has extraordinary swordsmanship, relying on his more excellent observation haki to successfully defuse Zhou Lin's attack. It's just that after dozens of tricks, Aokiji gradually fell into the bottom. Obviously, Zhou Lin is better at swordsmanship. Golden Lion's swordsmanship. What's your relationship with Golden Lion? Aokiji couldn't help asking. Don't beep when you're fighting. Zhou Lin didn't bother to explain. He raised his hand and made a slash wave, a huge slash that went straight to Aokiji. Aokiji hurriedly defended with a horizontal knife, but underestimated the power of slash wave, and the ice knife was cut off on the spot. Allah, because of intention. Boom. The slash ran over Aokiji's body and slashed hard on the sand. The ground was suddenly cut out of a 100-meter-long ravine, and countless sand grains crazily filled the ravine. The scene was very horrifying. However, Zhou Lin said. Sure enough, the moment he sensed the danger, he used elementalization to avoid the attack. This is easier said than done. It is necessary to have a super observation haki and an extremely agile response, but also to achieve elementalization in an instant. A series of processes is a test of a person's level. Something like Crocodile can't do it, but Aokiji clearly has it easy. Allah, I was almost killed. Aokiji patted his clothes, but it was only covered with sand, and he didn't suffer any damage. But Aokiji didn't show much ease, because he knew that he underestimated Zhou Lin's strength, and it might not be easy to win Zhou Lin today. So, Aokiji decided to attack more aggressively. Puck. Sigh. 5 icicles shot out suddenly, heading straight for Zhou Lin. Zhou Lin didn't panic. He chopped the icicle into a pile of cubes with a swing of the knife, and dragged the knife forward again. The ground turned into small cubes again, and the small cubes quickly converged into 3 cubes about the same height as Zhou Lin people. The cube man ran after Zhou Lin, and both had an extra knife made of cubes. 2 swords block slash. Zhou Lin let out a low cry, and swung his 2 knives forward. Aokiji dodges quickly, but saw the slash from the pair of knives hit the ground, and the ground turned into squares. Well, this fruit ability has been combined with swordsmanship. If he is scratched by this slash, the body parts will turn into cubes. This cubic fruit was unremarkable before. How could it change completely after changing the owner? Aokiji's heart was racing, but he didn't have much time to think. Because the 3 square figures jumped from Zhou Lin's side, and the 3 knives attacked his vital points at the same time. The attack was very fierce, and he would be injured if he was not careful. Aokiji didn't dare to be careless, and quickly chose to dodge. However, the 3 cubes followed unrelentingly, and the attack became crazy. Zhou Lin followed behind the square man, harassing him with a square cut from time to time, which actually forced Aokiji back, making Aokiji's situation very unhappy. Seeing this, Aokiji suddenly burst into cold air. Backquote, freezing moment. Click. The 3 square figures were instantly frozen into icemen. Even Zhou Lin was affected by this sudden attack. His hands and feet were quickly frozen, and before he could react, Aokiji attacked again. Frozen time capsule. Boom. A wave of air conditioning came from a long distance, freezing Zhou Lin's body instantly. On the ice sculpture, one could clearly see Zhou Lin's surprise and helplessness. Boss. Bonus couldn't help exclaiming. From just now, Bonus was stunned by the battle between the two. It was also the first time he saw that the boss did not gain the upper hand in a fight with others, and he did not expect that the boss would be frozen into an iceman. So without even thinking about it, I immediately ran to the direction of the boss. But Aokiji was obviously faster, and in a flash, he came to the ice sculpture Jolin, and directly hit the ice sculpture's neck with the knife. Although he really wanted to ask about the situation, Aokiji judged that Jolin was too dangerous. Since there was a chance to get rid of him, he should kill him quickly to avoid more troubles in the future. And his task is also the same, don't show mercy. But in the next second, the ice sculpture suddenly clicked, and a crack appeared on the iceman's face. Allah, I really can't trap you. Aokiji was helpless, and immediately crossed his hands in front of him, and even wrapped armament hockey around him. Immediately afterwards, the ice sculpture exploded, and a big foot went straight to Aokiji. Bang! Aokiji was kicked flying on the spot. Aokiji, who was flying upside down, also changed his complexion. He only felt severe pain in his arms, and blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. The armed color is released. This guy is really powerful. Aokiji thought that armament hockey was not weak, and his defense just now was in place, but Jolin's kick broke through his defense, almost breaking his hands. Moreover, Jolin's armament hockey poured into his body, causing serious internal injuries. In addition, Jolin should have been able to break through the ice a long time ago, but he pretended to be trapped and waited until his opponent got close to him before bursting out and successfully attacking him. There is actually kung fu and tricks in the battle, obviously it is more than enough. It seems that I still underestimate this guy. Jolin couldn't help rubbing his arms. Aokiji's cold air really made people get goosebumps, but fortunately he has thick skin and thick flesh, otherwise his blood and internal organs would be frozen hard. Boss, are you alright? Bonus stopped, with surprise on his face. Don't worry, I won't be killed so easily. Take a good look and see me defeat this future Marine Admiral. As Jolin said, he once again put on a double knife stance, looked at Aokiji who was waiting in full force, and raised his sword to move Thousand Slice Valley, and the densely packed huge slashing blows instantly enveloped Aokiji's area. Rumbling. The area was suddenly in a mess. Swish. Aokiji leapt high and shot two thorny spears at Jolin. Jolin dodged, then manipulated the cube to fly himself, and in the blink of an eye, he was in front of Aokiji, attacking crazily with double knife swordsmanship. Aokiji had no choice but to condense his skates to fight Jolin again. The two fought from the east to the west of Albana, and then from the south to the north. The battle was horrific and devastated everywhere it went. Fortunately, both Aokiji and Jolin deliberately stayed away from the city, otherwise Alba would have been razed to the ground by the fighting. At this time, from the high place of the palace, King Cobra and Princess Vivi were taken up by Belle, and the three of them silently watched the battle, dumbfounded the whole time. Jolin and Aokiji's speed is too fast because they can't see the fighting process at all. However, the destructive power caused by the battle can be seen. Wherever the battle is affected, either there are wide and deep cracks, or it is covered by a large area of ice. It's like a natural disaster, very terrifying. Cobra couldn't help taking a breath at this time, but fortunately Aokiji came in person, otherwise no one would be able to stop Cube Kid. Vivi, who was only 6 years old, blinked her big eyes. She still didn't understand the meaning of the fight between the two, but only knew that the two were so powerful that they seemed to be able to sink the entire Alabasta. Belle hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, you should contact Sengoku Admiral immediately. The strength of this cube boy is far beyond everyone's imagination." Cobra thought about it, nodded and said, "Belle is right, it's better to talk to Marine." Although Cobra has confidence in Aokiji's strength, after all, Aokiji will soon be promoted to Marine Admiral, and his strength is definitely the top of the sea. But if you are not afraid of 10,000, you are afraid of the eventuality. If Cube Boy can draw with Aokiji now, it may not be impossible to defeat Aokiji. If Aokiji loses, then Alabasta is probably doomed. So, the call quickly went to Sengoku. When Sengoku hung up the phone, he couldn't help but rub the center of his eyebrows with a headache. Sure enough, it was right to send Aokiji there in the first place, otherwise no one would be able to stop Jolin, but Aokiji alone is obviously not enough. Jolin's strength really surpasses Sengoku's judgment. Really, Where did this square boy come from, and how could he have such a powerful strength? Sengoku thought about it, picked up the phone and dialed a number. Moses. Pelusalino, you immediately put down your work and rushed to Alabasta to support Kuzan at full speed. Kizaru was surprised. Kuzan has already made a move, but I still need my support. Is the opponent Whitebeard or Kaido? Neither, it's Cube Kid, AJCF, Jolin. Don't talk nonsense, you start now, don't delay. Oh, that square boy is really a coat. Then, I'll just go there. Kizaru hung up the phone, and tidied up his clothes. Mingming is not very old, but he talks to an old man. He was already obscene, but now he speaks even more obscenely. However, his strength should not be underestimated, he can't even beat Whitebeard soon. Swish, Kizaru turned into a golden light and disappeared. For Alabasta, Jolin and Aokiji are still fighting. About an hour passed, but the battle was still not over, and the output of the two was getting bigger and bigger, and the scope of the battle was getting wider and wider, and even caused a large area of the sandy land in Alzong to collapse. If the fight continues like this, I am afraid that the capital of this country will be sunk. Jolin was panting heavily at this time, looking at Aokiji who was also in a mess. He couldn't help but smile. Aokiji is indeed very powerful, but he has been suppressed by Jolin just now. In terms of physical strength, Jolin has the advantage, and his swordsmanship is also higher than that of Aokiji. But Aokiji is better than Jolin in observation hockey. With the ability of Logia frozen fruit, Jolin suffered a lot. Now it's almost 50-50, it depends on who gets to the end. At this time, Jolin activated the fruit ability again, the ground blocks were assembled quickly, and the air blocks also began to form, and it didn't take long to assemble them into creepers. Creepers, give it to me. Jolin controls the creeper and rushes towards Aokiji, while continuing to create more creepers. Aokiji was stunned, and threw the skate in his hand, hitting a creeper in the distance, and that creeper exploded on the spot, directly blasting a big hole in the ground. Ah la la, what a scary little thing. Aokiji is a little more cautious about the creepers. Although these small cubes don't seem to be strong, they can't fight casually. If the little cube man detonated it by his side, he would not only be injured, but also be distracted, giving Jolin an opportunity. Sure enough, the cube fruit ability is really troublesome. Come on, go on. Try a suicide attack. Jolin was smiling, creating creepers wantonly, but his body was slightly bent, ready to attack at any time. After Aokiji tried to attack a few creepers from a long distance, he found that the number of creepers was increasing, and Jolin's manufacturing speed was so fast that he really couldn't kill them. As a result, Aokiji decisively used the fruit ability, and the whole body was filled with cold air, covering a radius of 1 mile in an instant. Ice Age. Click, click, click. Endless ice blocks spread from Aokiji's feet, covering the area with a thick layer of ice in the blink of an eye, and those creepers were instantly frozen into ice sculptures. Jolin immediately covered armament hockey all over his body, abruptly shaking away the cold air that wanted to freeze him. And suddenly snapped his fingers. Those frozen creepers suddenly exploded collectively, and the terrifying explosive force instantly collapsed the ground. Coincidentally, the ground under Aokiji's feet also began to collapse. Aokiji staggered, and hurriedly stepped upwards. However, he suddenly felt a gust of wind blowing, and Jolin's figure had already rushed in front of him. The rich armament hockey is entwined on the Sakura 10 and the Deadwood double swords, making the double swords into black swords, and I don't know if it is an illusion that can faintly feel the existence of Conqueror's hockey. Puck, Aokiji fought back without hesitation. 5 icicles hit Jolin's vital points immediately. But Jolin didn't dodge or dodge, allowing the icicles to pierce through his shoulder and abdomen, and slashed down with both knives. PFF'd. The X-slash directly broke through Aokiji's armed defense, and chopped on Aokiji's chest. Blood gushed out like a fountain, and Aokiji couldn't help but vomit a mouthful of blood. And Aokiji also felt the strength of this slash, and his pupils couldn't help shrinking. It turned out to be Conqueror's entanglement. This guy actually has Conqueror's hockey, and he has mastered Conqueror's entanglement skills at a young age. Where did this evildoer come from? Aokiji's heart was shocked, and his breath became much weaker. Obviously, the injury this time was really serious. But it is also Aokiji's own strength, if it is replaced by other Marine Vice Admiral, it will definitely die immediately, except for Akainu and Kizaru. At this time, Jolin kicked Aokiji away again. And he himself manipulated the cube to float in midair, looked at the big pit below, and breathed a sigh of relief. It is not in vain that he built so many creepers, and when he controlled the creepers to attack, he arranged them secretly everywhere, and then he took the opportunity to blow a big hole out, leaving Aokiji nowhere to stand. This can only distract Aokiji for a moment, and this moment must be grasped. Otherwise, with Aokiji's excellent observation haki, I am afraid that he will succeed in elemental dodge. Fortunately, Aokiji was in a hurry, not only did not dodge, but also wanted to use the ice puck to force Jolin back, but he did not expect that Jolin would rely on his thick skin and toughness to carry Song in exchange for 10 chances of life. This time it's Conqueror's entanglement plus the damage of the armed color, enough for Aokiji to drink a pot. Although I probably won't succeed next time, let's talk about winning this time. Jolin flew to Aokiji on a cube. At this time, Aokiji sat up while lying on his back, not only bleeding from his chest, but also from the corners of his mouth, looking very miserable. But those eyes became extremely determined. He only heard him say, "I'm defeated, you can kill me, but can you not attack Alabasta for the sake of my fighting with you?" Hearing this, Jolin silently put away his swords. Aokiji heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this, but was punched flying by Jolin in the next second. It was already embarrassing enough, but now it rolled on the ground more than a dozen times before stopping, which made it even more inhuman. But Aokiji was not angry at all. "It seems that you want to abuse me, and I won't have any complaints, as long as you let this country go." On the top of the palace, Cobra, Vivi and Belle couldn't help being shocked when they saw that Aokiji had lost. Especially Cobra, who was so shocked that he almost fell down. Below the palace, the captain of the guard, Ikalem, immediately said, "Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, please leave Albana immediately. The situation is critical now, and you must survive." Cobra immediately reprimanded, "Ikaram, what nonsense are you talking about? As a king, how can I leave the people alone? Your Majesty, now is not the time to talk about this. Belle, take Your Majesty the King and His Royal Highness away immediately. It's best to go to Marineford, and Jaka and I will be in charge." "No, I won't leave. Belle, you take Vivi away, I want to stay and die with the people." Cobra was extremely stubborn. He just hugged the pointed pillar at the top of the palace and did not let go. Ikaram, Belle, and Jaka were anxious and helpless. Although they were loved by the people because of the king, this is a critical moment, and Cube Boy may destroy the country at any time. If the king and princess are killed, then Alabasta will have no future at all. However, Vivi suddenly said, "Ikaram, Belle, and Jaka, just as the father said, we can't leave the citizens and escape alone. Now, what the father and I should do is to go to Cube Boy, even if we are given." He knelt down and kowtowed, asking him to spare the people even if he killed the royal family. Everyone was stunned. It was hard to believe that Vivi, who was only 6 years old, could say such a thing. But everyone didn't know how to refute for a while. Cobra immediately said, "What Vivi said is very true. It is impossible to escape. As the king, I will do this. I will kneel down and beg him. Even if I bear thousands of infamy, as long as I can save the people I have no regrets either." After speaking, he let go of the pointed pillar and let Belle take him down. Then he personally took a few people and walked out of the city, his eyes full of resoluteness and determination. At this time, Jolin walked up to Aokiji. "I don't want to kill you, and I don't want to attack this country. The punch just now was for an 8-year-old girl. .00. Aokiji was taken aback for a moment, and suddenly thought of something, with a look of misery on his face. It turns out that someone stood up for her. Is she okay now? Hey, do you still have the guts to ask? Before meeting me, she was not only alone but also constantly betrayed. Can you imagine how a little girl survived alone in this ruthless sea? ... I can imagine. Quote, of course you can think of it, you are almost becoming admiral, how could you not think of it? Jolin's face became even colder, but even if you become a marshal, I will still beat you. If you dare to bully her again in the future, I will beat you to death. I won't show mercy anymore, you know. Aokiji smiled bitterly and nodded with difficulty. His injury was really serious, but somehow he felt much more comfortable in his heart. It's not because Jolin didn't kill him, and it's not because Jolin spared the country, but because Jolin is standing up for that little girl, and that little girl has found a reliable friend. In this way, Saul should be happy too. At this time, Cobra came to the front with his daughter Vivi, the captain of the guard, Ekalem, the deputy of the guard, Bel and Jacka. Before Jolin could speak, Cobra and the others immediately knelt down. I saw Cobra kowtowing deeply. Master Jolin, I am Neferutali Cobra, the king of Alabasta, and I beg you as a king to spare the people of this country. Whether you want to kill me or no matter what, I have no complaints. Seeing this, Aokiji sighed deeply. He knew why Cobra did it. Because he lost Aokiji, Cube Kid Jolin is very likely to attack Alabasta. At that time, it may be a bloodbath, from the royal family to the pawns. I am afraid that no one will be spared. Therefore, Cobra chose to kneel and beg, completely abandoning the dignity of the royal family, just to save the common people. Although this is humiliating, Cobra still chooses to do it. If it were any other royal family, they might have run away earlier, but Cobra and the others not only chose to stay, but also decided to give up their dignity and life. Song asked for 10 ways to survive for the people. It has to be said that Alabasta is lucky to have such a king. Of course, such a begging method is probably useful to Jolin, because Jolin did not intend to take action against this country. If it were replaced by those vicious 360 pirates, what Cobra would do would be to seek his own death and hand over the country, which would also plunge the people into dire straits. Jolin chuckled, but looked at the 6-year-old girl. If I told you to sacrifice your daughter, would you be willing? Cobra trembled all over, and Mr. Zhang couldn't utter a word for a long time. He wanted to say that she was still a child. But Vivi immediately said, we are willing. Master Jolin, as long as you don't attack the people of Alabasta, I am willing to sacrifice myself. Vivi, Princess Vivi. Cobra and the others couldn't help exclaiming. But seeing Vivi's firm gaze, he couldn't bear to look at it immediately, and lowered his head again, his eyes full of pain. Jolin was surprised that Vivi had such awareness at such a young age, so he stepped forward to look at it, but Vivi was not afraid, and looked up at Jolin. Oh, are the kids nowadays so brave? Jolin stretched out his hand and rubbed the little girl's head. You are very brave, and being brave is a good thing. But you guys are so stupid that you want to ask for something from the villains, but you know that the real villains will not keep their promises. Quote. Vivi blinked. Then what should we do? Hee. Good question. When the villain strikes, you should take up arms and fight. Only by defeating the villain with your own hands can you truly defend the freedom and dignity of the people. But if you choose to kneel and beg, you will not only automatically abandon your dignity, but will also the freedom of the people is handed over to the wicked, and even if the lives of the people are saved, the people will live a life that would be worse than death. So difficult to understand, but it seems to make sense. Quote. Vivi is still young and doesn't understand these big principles. It is extremely rare for her to have the awareness that she is not afraid of death, so she can't ask for too much. But Cobra and the others had flickering eyes, completely unable to understand what Jolin was thinking, whether to answer or not to beg, and did not give an accurate answer. Moreover, Jolin's words hit Cobra's heart like a sharp sword. Jolin's words are obviously teaching Cobra a lesson. But Cobra can't help it. Even Aokiji can't beat Jolin. Choosing to resist can save his dignity, but if the people are slaughtered because of this, his dignity is worthless. In his opinion, saving the lives of the people is the only thing he wants to do. Only then did Jolin ask, do you have devil fruit in your treasury? Cobra immediately said, yes, there are 2 in total. One is the zone chicken-shaped bird fruit, and the other is the Paramesha bubble fruit. Bubble fruit. Isn't this the fruit eaten by CP9 Khalifa? Jolin was stunned for a moment, but soon understood. Although the royal family of Alabasta had the opportunity to join the Celestial Dragons, they gave up in the end. Now Alabasta is also one of the member countries of the world government, and it should also need to pay the heavenly gold. This bubble fruit may have been handed in later as heavenly gold. And Spandam is the chief of CP9, and his father Spandine is also the chief of the CPU. It is normal to get devil fruit from Kailong's tricks. But now that he was met by Jolin, he naturally wouldn't let it go. Bring me both devil fruits, and I promise not to attack Alabasta. Now the Kingdom of Cape franchise is my territory, and I will establish diplomatic relations with Alabasta in the future. I hope King Cobra will not refuse. Yes, I promise. Cobra was overjoyed, and quickly asked Jaka to fetch the devil fruit. Soon, Jaka came over with 2 fruits and handed them to Jolin. Jolin immediately put away the devil fruit, patted Vivi's head again, and then controlled the cube to fly away with Bonies. Until the cube disappeared into the sky, Cobra and others immediately slumped on the ground uncontrollably, their faces full of joy. Not bad. Good thing Cube Kid only wants devil fruit. That's great. At this moment, Aokiji said apologetically, Your Majesty, I'm so sorry, I couldn't win. Aokiji Vice Admiral, don't blame yourself, you have tried your best, that person is just too strong. Cobra didn't blame Aokiji, and quickly ordered, Ikaram, take Aokiji Vice Admiral to treat immediately, and I will report the situation to Sengoku Admiral. Vivi looked at the direction where the square disappeared, blinking her eyes. I don't know if it's an illusion, but she thinks that the cube Big Brother is not malicious. At this point, fly on the box. Boss, how is the injury? Bonus was also worried about others. It's okay, I have rough skin and thick flesh, and I'll be fine soon. Jolin didn't lie, although Aokiji pierced his shoulder and abdomen with icicles and looked seriously injured, but Jolin's physique is very pervert now, the wound stopped bleeding soon, and now it even started to scab. And the reason why he chose to trade injuries for injuries was because of his good physique. But to sum up a little bit, I found that the physique is still not perverted enough, at least there is still a big gap from the pervert like Kaido, not to mention twice the physique of Kaido. So next, we still need to absorb more Sea King stamina cubes. The so-called physical cube includes physique and energy, which not only make Jolin's body tougher, but also allow Jolin to gain more strength. Of course, it would be better if Kaido's stamina cubes can be absorbed now, but now Kaido hasn't hit the door, and Jolin doesn't have much confidence to kill Kaido, so don't even think about it. In addition, Jolin's weakness is also highlighted. Most importantly, observation haki. You can't feel it if you don't fight against the top powerhouse. Only when you suffer a loss in the hands of the top powerhouse, will you know where your real shortcomings are. After playing with Aokiji this time, I found that observation haki is really weak. A large part of the reason why I fought Aokiji for so long was because I couldn't hit Aokiji. With the help of the stronger observation haki, Aokiji successfully predicted Jolin's prediction, and every time he gave priority to dodging Jolin's powerful attack, and dealt with Jolin for a long time smoothly. However, Jolin was more knowledgeable, not to mention Aokiji, at least it was easier to fight. It seems that I really want to go to New World to hunt observation haki. I don't know how far Katakori's knowledge has reached. Is it worth turning into a cube? Or, UGN is going to hunt Fei Leopo Linkong Luzi. Sky Island doesn't remember if Enel is here, Enel is the best prey. Jolin pondered in his heart, and couldn't think of who he should attack better for a while. He even wants to sneak into the Impel Down and turn the Red Earl and Bullet into cubes, so that he can definitely become the top among the tops in the sea. Maybe they can beat IM. However, Jolin was still calm and did not choose such an extreme method. There are too many sea stones in Impel Down, if you are not careful, you will suffer, it is better not to take that risk. In addition, you should try wearing sea stone for exercise, after you get used to it, you won't be so afraid of sea stone. All in all, there are really many things to do. Bonus looked at Jolin, hesitant to speak. Seeing this, Jolin smiled and said, What? You want to ask why I didn't kill Aokiji? Bonus shook his head, the boss has made his own decision. As a thug, I shouldn't ask questions. Hehe, you are one of your own. There is nothing you can't ask about. And this matter is not difficult to understand. Aokiji is a subordinate who is valued by Sengoku. In the future, he will become Marine Admiral. If Aokiji is killed by me, Marine will definitely fight me. Also, Aokiji and Garp have a good relationship, I guess. Understood. Bonus nodded, and returned to his original taciturnity. But Bonus didn't know, Jolin didn't finish explaining the reason. For example, Aokiji, who has lost his understanding of justice, is a person who can be won over, and maybe he can be drawn over to become a partner in the future. Besides, Aokiji is not bad, he spared Robin's life back then, it was worth Jolyne's letting him go today. As for what will happen in the future, we will wait and see later. Next time we meet, if it is still an enemy, we can still defeat him. Here, Aokiji reported to Sengoku with a serious injury, and Sengoku fell into a long silence after listening. After a long time, he said, Kuzan, you are temporarily recuperating in Alabasta for a few days, and then I will send someone to pick you up. As for Cube Boy, I will take care of it. After speaking, I hung up the phone, and then contacted Kizaru again. Kizaru thought Sengoku was here to urge him, but when he heard that Aokiji had been defeated and Cube Kid had retreated, a solemn look appeared on his lazy face. Although Aokiji is a junior, his strength is highly recognized. Kizaru also thinks that Aokiji is equal to himself, but such Aokiji was defeated by Cube Boy, which can be said to be unimaginable. According to Aokiji's report, Jolyne also owns Conqueror's Hockey, and has mastered Conqueror's winding and armed color release at a young age, coupled with Golden Lion's great swordsmanship, Marine 6 styles and cubic fruit abilities, he has definitely entered the ranks of the top powerhouses. The only downside is that observation hockey is worse. But I am afraid that this shortcoming will be made up for sooner or later, and it will be even more difficult to deal with by then. Cube Boy has already promised not to attack Alabasta, so don't act rashly for now, I will explain to 5 elders myself. Sengoku urged. Understood. Then I go back to hunt Fisher Tiger now. Kizaru was a little reluctant to get involved. No, you go and see Kuzan first, and if he's seriously injured, take him to the Kingdom of Drum for treatment. All right. Kizaru was helpless and had to obey. I thought I could go back to fish right away, but I didn't expect to have to continue running. I can only pray that Kuzan's injury will be less serious, so that I don't have to do coolies to send Kuzan to see a doctor. After Sengoku hung up the phone, he frowned deeply again. Unexpectedly, Jolyne's strength has reached such a level, it can be said to be unbelievable. The question now is whether to continue chasing and killing Jolyne. If it continues, it is estimated that Aokiji and Kizaru will take action together, or let Garp do it. But this is risky, because Jolyne still has all the people of Cape franchise as hostages. It's harder to kill. Xiaohei, what do you think should be done? Sengoku really had no choice. Maybe, we can make him 7 warlords of the sea. Crane Vice Admiral is worthy of being a smart person, and he thought of a way again. This seems to work too. Sengoku looked happy. Since he killed Crocodile, let him become the new Shichibukai. In this way, it can be regarded as temporarily reaching a friendly relationship and temporarily suppressing the threat. And, if he wants, he can even do it. The King of Cape Franche, as long as he pays the heavenly money on time. Although I feel sorry for the people of Cape franchise, this is the only way to go. If you can't kill Cube Boy, you can only choose this kind of compromise. So, Sengoku immediately reported the new information and new method to 5 elders. At the same time, the news of Jolyne's defeat of Aokiji also spread quickly, and the news directly stunned many forces. Many people repeatedly confirmed the authenticity of the news, and the shock in their hearts could not be calmed down for a long time. Many forces know that Aokiji is about to become Marine Admiral. And many people also affirm Aokiji's strength, including Whitebeard, Kaido, and Red Hair. They will not think there is any problem with Aokiji becoming Marine Admiral. But this is Aokiji, and now is defeated by that fledgling Cube Kid. How can one believe this? At this time, the eyes of many big shots began to focus on Jolyne, and they no longer regarded Jolyne as a little mouse that could only dig holes, but a fierce tiger that could bite people. Digging may just be the tiger's hobby. I just don't know when Jolyne will enter New World and whether he will participate in New World separatism and hegemony. At this time, inside the castle on Krajgana Island, Hawkeye Mahawk had just finished cooking and was taking out a bottle of red wine to enjoy, when the phone bug suddenly rang. After answering the call, he immediately finished the food quickly and washed the dishes very carefully, then put on his coat, stuck the black knife behind his back and went out in a chic manner. The call was from Redhead, about Cube Kid beating Aokiji. But the focus of Hawkeye's attention is that Jolyne, the square kid, is suspected to be able to use Golden Lion's two-handed swordsmanship, and he is also a great swordsman. Since he is a great swordsman, he naturally wants to ask for advice. Only by defeating all-powerful swordsmen can he comprehend more powerful swordsmanship. The former Golden Lion was old and hadn't appeared since the escape, so Hawkeye naturally had no chance to fight the Golden Lion. And now that there is a replacement for Golden Lion, it is natural not to be missed. New World, a sea area. The Red Hair Pirates, who had just come from the Fishmen Island, stopped here for a party. The red-haired Shanks hung up the phone, and happily held up his glass to drink with everyone, as if he wasn't the one who made the call just now. Seeing this, Ben Beckman, who was holding a cigarette pull, couldn't help but rolled his eyes. The purpose of entering New World this time is to fight for a position of supremacy. With the strength of the Red Hair Pirates and the plan of his deputy captain, it should not be difficult to achieve the goal. However, the appearance of this square seems to be a variable. This cube kid rose up suddenly. Originally, he was just a mischievous little mouse who liked to dig holes, but now he suddenly turned into a big tiger, which is really scary. Ben Beckman naturally knows what his captain thinks. It's just that I don't know what kind of person Joe Lin is, and I'm afraid it will affect the plan, so I plan to find someone to test it out. It happened that Joe Lin was a great swordsman, so let Hawkeye pass by. As long as Hawkeye fought Joe Lin once, he should be able to roughly judge what kind of guy Joe Lin is. If it is a guy who is not good for the future situation, then I don't mind getting rid of it. As for Hawkeye, it doesn't matter what Red Hair plans. He has his own pursuit and approach. As long as the opponent is a great swordsman, he will defeat him. The position of the world's #1 swordsman is right in front of you, and only by climbing to the top can you know whether there is a higher peak. Still New World, Wano-Kuni. The battle between the Beast's pirates and the Moria pirates didn't take too long, and there was no one left in the Moria pirates except for the Captain Moria. And Moria was beaten into the sea by Kaido's Thunderbolt 8 trigrams, and her life and death are unknown now. Then Kaido took the winning team back to Oni Island for a celebration drink. However, what Kaido didn't realize was that Moria had drifted to the coast of Wano-Kuni again. Moria, who had just lost all her friends, was heartbroken and wished to take revenge on Kaido immediately. But Moria also knows that she is definitely not Kaido's opponent on her own. Then he had a strange idea in his heart: he couldn't have any more partners, otherwise he would lose them again. As long as you use the Shadow Fruit ability to create an army of zombies, you can definitely defeat Kaido, and you don't have to worry about losing your partner again. So, Moria lurked to Wano-Kuni's cemetery and stole the body of the dragon-slaying hero Ryoma and the Black Sword Chushui. When leaving Wano-Kuni, Moria swore she would return with an army of zombies to conquer the place, eat the Beast's pirates alive, and tear Kaido to pieces. At this time, Kaido didn't know about Moria's revenge plan, and was drinking while reading the newspaper. Crocodile dead. What time is this newspaper? Oh, this guy called Cube Boy is not bad. He even defeated Marine Vice Admiral Aokiji. Although he is not a zone-capable person, he can be recruited as his subordinate. Jack, when you are free, go to the park and bring this Cube Boy back to be Xiaoyang. After Kaido gave the order, he continued to drink heavily, as if he was sending Jack to catch a mouse, and he didn't think that Joe Lin would disagree. Although Joe Lin defeated Aokiji, his big kanban is also very strong. Jack can definitely bring Joe Lin back. But Jack also thinks so. He is a ruthless person who dares to approach a warship even when he sees Sengoku, Fujitora smiling, and Crane Vice Admiral. He is also very confident in his own strength. Just a burrowing mouse, he can escort it back casually. And Charlotte Linlin also had the same idea. She also didn't care about Joe Lin's strength. She just felt that as long as her tea party invitation was issued, Joe Lin would have to show face. This is the arrogance of the big pirates who are about to become the emperor of the sea. Whitebeard, on the other hand, froze for a moment when he saw the report, then tossed the paper aside. From Whitebeard's point of view, Joe Lin's strength really attracts attention, but as long as he doesn't provoke Whitebeard, it doesn't matter, and if Joe Lin dares to come, he will be labeled as his son. New World, a deserted island not far from Dressrosa. The Don Quixote pirates are temporarily stationed here. Doflamingo was staring at the contents of the newspaper at this time. His eyes under the sunglasses became extremely stern, and the veins on his forehead were constantly beating, which was a state of anger that could not be suppressed. The cadres did not speak when they saw this. Ever since being defeated by Jolin, Doflamingo has become increasingly irritable. It seems that the strategizing and calmness of the past are completely gone. But not only Doflamingo, but also the cadres, because the Don Quixote family has a sworn feud with Jolin, and once Jolin is involved, everyone can't help but get angry. And this time I can't be angry, because Alabasta's ending is too unexpected. Unexpectedly, a strong man like Aokiji would lose. Doflamingo has been operating in the underground world for such a long time. Naturally there are many news channels, and he really knows Aokiji's strength, and also knows that Aokiji is one of the candidates for the next Marine Admiral. This is the kind of person who actually lost to Fang Xiaozi. Simply out of line. It stands to reason that Doflamingo should be much more comfortable. After all, even Aokiji lost, so it is only natural for him to lose. But this is impossible. He hates Jolin to the bone. The stronger Jolin is, the angrier he gets. Doesn't the current report show that it is almost impossible for him to seek revenge from Jolin? How can this be? At this time, Torrebel quickly said, "Hey, Dover, let's put aside the matter of Cube Boy for the time being. As long as we manage well, we will definitely be able to build up a huge force, and by then we won't have that little Fang Ji." Quote. Diamandi also said, "Dover, good job, Torrebel is right. Didn't you want to get on the line with Kaido before, and then find a way to make Kaido deal with Cube Boy? As long as Kaido's monsters take action, Cube Kid is definitely dead. Young master, please order, we will obey you." The other cadres also hurriedly spoke. "Yeah, that's right, I can't sulk here." Doflamingo forced himself to regain his composure. "I wanted to wait for the right time, but the time is pressing, we really have to attack Dressrosa in advance." Doflamingo has long planned to take back the Dressrosa that his ancestors abandoned. Dressrosa has a special location, very close to the entrance of New World, facing the entire New World. As long as this country is captured, the underground business will definitely be even more prosperous. In particular, the New World site is fiercely contested, and the arms business is definitely better, which will make his power grow rapidly. Chapter 71. West Blue, a deserted island. A graceful black long straight girl is sweating alone. Shave, swish, the beautiful girl disappeared in place. Moonwalk, bang bang bang, the beautiful girl is running in the air. Tempest kick, phew, the beautiful girl kicked out a fierce slash, cutting off a big tree in half. Paper arts, the beautiful girl's body changed for a while, as if it had become a piece of paper. Not long after, the beautiful girl stopped training, and the crystal sweat slid on the graceful curves, making the beautiful girl even more alluring. Robin picked up a towel to wipe off his sweat, took a big sip of water, and felt much better. Since Jolin left, Robin still stays in West Blue, but basically hides on a desert island and trains hard. In order to be safer after entering the Grand Line, Robin naturally spared no effort to become stronger. Fortunately, her aptitude is excellent. Marine 6 Styles has learned 4 styles. Moreover, the development of the flower fruit ability has not been left behind. Now her strength is many times stronger than before. The only shortcoming is that her physical fitness is too poor. Even if she is diligent in exercising women's physical weakness, it will be difficult to cover up for a while. Also, Haki's realization didn't make much progress, which made Robin feel stupid. If someone from Marine knew about it, they probably wouldn't be able to resist cursing. Marine 6 Styles is not something you can learn if you want to. First of all, you need to meet the physical fitness standard, otherwise even if you know the theory, you will not be able to use it, and if you force it, you will hurt yourself. The other is to talk about qualifications. Although it is said that at a certain age, people have the opportunity to learn the 6 styles, but basically they have to do it very late. Those who can learn it in their 20s are geniuses, and those who learn it in their teens are evildoers. Rob Lucci mastered the Grandmaster 6 form at a very young age, and is known as the most talented person in the history of the CP organization. And now Robin has learned the 4 styles at the age of 18, and he is definitely an elite in Marine. Marine 6 styles is difficult to learn, and Haki is even more difficult to learn. In Marine, knowing Haki is at least a rear admiral rank, and they are all in their 30s, so they are already very good. In the end, Robin disliked himself for being stupid just because he didn't make any progress in comprehending Haki. Isn't that insulting? Robin quickly adjusted his mentality. Seeing a news bird fly by, he hurriedly bought a newspaper, but was shocked when he saw it, and quickly took out his phone and dialed it. Jolin had just left AJCF to open the rapeseed flower port, so he quickly answered the call bug. Robin, have you encountered any difficulties? Do you need me to go over immediately? Such questions seemed to have become a habit. I'm fine here. The phone bug's cheeks were reddish, but he said anxiously, Jolin, did you fight Aokiji? It's great that you're fine. Are you injured? Is the injury serious? Listening to the concerned words, Jolin couldn't help but smile. I'm fine. Robin, I've helped Aokiji around. You know. Of course I know. That guy made you cry before, so of course I want to vent my anger on you. Thank you, Jolin. It's great to meet you. Robin's voice was moved. She had never received such care since she was a child, and it was the first time someone vented her anger for her. I really wanted to throw myself into his arms. But it's coming soon, she's going to the Grand Line soon. When the time comes, don't rush to find the historical text, but go to see him first, and I can't wait to see him. Jolin, first have learned Marine 6 styles shaved, moonwalk, tempest kick and paper arts 4 styles, hockey has not progressed yet, can I enter the Grand Line with this strength? Robin asked cautiously. Okay, but be careful. Try not to meet Marines whose military rank is above captain, and avoid contact with those vicious pirates. Jolin didn't stop him. In fact, with Robin's ability to learn the 4 forms, there are basically no major problems in the first half of the Grand Line. Unless you are unlucky to meet those powerful guys, such as Aokiji who likes to ride around on a bicycle, such as a drunken long bug flying around. But if Robin is not allowed to enter the Grand Line because of this, then Robin should not look for any history at all. The Grand Line is full of dangers, and since he wants to pursue that blank history, the dangers he faces are more terrifying than anyone else, and Robin must be mentally prepared. Of course, you have to improve your strength before mental preparation. If Robin can do everything in seconds, wouldn't he be able to investigate history as he likes, without fear of any world government? So strength really matters. Fortunately, Jolin is on the Grand Line, and he can fly to Robin at any time, and Jolin believes in his current strength. Even if he encounters Kaido or Garp, he can still protect Robin. At this time Robin said again, Then I have arrived at the Grand Line, can I go to you first? Jolin smiled even wider, of course. I want to see you too. Just in time, I got a copy of the historical text from Alabasta, and I will give it to you when the time comes. Really? Great. I'm leaving now, Jolin, you must be waiting for me. Okay, remember to come to Kappapuffage to be hungry. After hanging up the phone, Jolin couldn't suppress the curvature of his mouth. Bonus remained silent as usual, but he thought in his heart that when he saw the boss's wife, he should be more respectful. On the other side, Garp, who was with his grandson in East Blue Windmill Village, received a call from Sengoku. After listening to Sengoku's narration, his whole face was in disbelief. No, how could this be? Garp's eyes widened. When the old man fought with that square boy, his hockey seemed to have just awakened, and he mastered it very generally. Why haven't we seen it for a long time? He even learned the skills of Armed Color Release and Conqueror's Entanglement. Is Sengoku joking? Sengoku ruthlessly replied, I'm not that boring. And Kuzan is currently being sent to the Drum King Kingdom for treatment, are you kidding me? Garp fell into deep thought when he heard the words. He was thinking about whether he had missed something. But after thinking about it again, I found that there was nothing wrong. It seems that Cube Boy is deliberately hiding his clumsiness. This is the case with the Golden Lion swordsmanship before, and the advanced hockey skills this time. Next time, if the knowledge and color suddenly become super strong, maybe there is no need to be surprised. This guy is beyond comprehension. Now the 5 elders have issued an order and decided to replace Crocodile with Cube Boy as the new Shichibukai. I'm going to ask you to go there, and that guy will probably be able to talk to you well. You just go to Cape on the way back to the headquarters. Franchise. Okay, I just go, I just happen to be very curious. Grand Line, Caput Frank. During Jolin's absence, the country has continued to develop and change every day. The mansions in those aristocratic areas have almost been demolished, and rows of new big houses have been built in the designated area, giving priority to families with elderly and children. In terms of food, it is still in the form of a big pot for the time being. After all, it is now during the retreat period, no foreign merchant ships can come over, and there is still a shortage of supplies, so it is better to eat from a big pot for the time being. However, fishermen fish in the offshore every day, and there is no shortage of meat. Vegetables and fruits have also grown on the small island next to the main island. It won't be long before the country can truly achieve self-sufficiency. Even if life will be a little tighter, it is much better than the previous days when there was not enough to eat. People are very easy to be satisfied, but they are also very motivated to live a prosperous life. Now the recruit training has been completely on the right track. With Burr, Ruby and Parker present, defense is not a problem at all. Not only is he not afraid of being attacked by pirates, but he is even eager for pirates to attack, because there are a lot of supplies on the pirate ship, which just makes up for the shortage of supplies in the country. Of course, if it doesn't work, you can also send merchant ships to other countries to purchase. It's just that we haven't reached that point yet, and the current state of the country is not suitable for opening up to the outside world, otherwise the good life will be ruined. And without the citizens of Cape Franche not paying attention, a wooden board floated high in the sky. A middle-aged man in a purple shirt stood on the board. The uncle just stood quietly, holding a crutch in his hand. If he looked carefully, he found that he was blind and had a hideous scar on his forehead. This person is a strong folk, a person with the ability of gravity fruit, just smile. It seems that the actual situation does not match the rumors. With a smile, he muttered to himself, it is said that Cube Kid occupied Capet franchise, not only cruelly killed the king and many nobles, but also enslaved the citizens of this country. However, Mr. Joe Lin saved the country's citizens. The citizens punished the kings and nobles who exploited the people, and reformed through labor for the nobles who had not committed too many crimes. In fact, after hearing the news that Joe Lin occupied the Cape Franchise Kingdom, he was already taken care of with a smile. My first impression at the time was that Joe Lin was a vicious guy. And after the conflict between Joe Lin and Marine, Yi Xiao couldn't sit still. He listened to the people around him talking about Capet Franche, and what he heard was how Joe Lin enslaved the people, planted air bombs in the people's bodies, and even killed an innocent woman in front of Marine. What's more, Marine was beaten back by this vicious guy. Afterwards, Marine seemed helpless. Even though the Kingdom of Capet Franche is also a member of the world government, Marine has no intention or action to continue saving the people of this country. Yi Xiao was extremely disappointed with Marine, and decided to do it himself in a rage. He comes from ordinary people, and he has justice in his heart. He once crippled his eyes because he didn't want to see the evil in the world. However, after he became blind, he saw the evil more clearly. Since Marine couldn't deal with that vicious cube boy, let him save those helpless civilians with a smile. It's just that he has bad eyesight after all, and it's not easy to hurry. After several twists and turns, he finally arrived at a relatively close position, and then used the gravity fruit ability to fly himself, and flew to Cape Franche by himself. Coincidentally, it was the time when Joe Lin was away. And Yi Xiao didn't act rashly, because his excellent observation hockey saw something different from the rumors. He saw that this country was thriving and heard the laughter of the people. Compared with the lifeless and insensitive citizens of other countries, the people of this country gave him a positive feeling. Why on earth is this happening? A smile generated a strong interest, and directly peeked at the sky for 3 days. After 3 days, through observation and eavesdropping, Yi Xiao basically understood the situation in this country. For a while, he was no longer angry with Joe Lin, but developed a strong interest and admiration. Thinking of him smiling and claiming to be a knight-errant who seeks justice for the people, the only thing he can do is to be a chivalrous man, but compared to Joe Lin who saved the people of a country from fire and water with a single shot, his so-called justice seems to be brighter than Haoyu. The world has all misunderstood Mr. Joe Lin. However, Mr. Joe Lin could not defend himself, and even did not want to defend himself. If the citizens of this country know the evaluation of Mr. Joe Lin from the outside world, they may not be able to help but be furious, but they cannot speak up, because this country still needs to hide it. Yes, in order not to be discovered by the world government and the Marine, it must be hidden. This is also the origin of the rumors. It was a good show played by Mr. Joe Lin and the common people, which fooled everyone. What an interesting person. I really want to meet you, but unfortunately I'm already blind and can't see your face. At this moment, Yi Xiao began to regret his act of destroying his eyes. The world is indeed full of evil, but it is still full of justice and light. If you destroy your eyes because you don't want to see evil, how can you see it when the light appears? He smiled and remained silent, thinking carefully for a long time. 0. But in the end, he decided not to see Zhou Lin for the time being, and he also wanted to do something meaningful. Since you want to hide, I will do my best. I will clean up those CP organizations who are spying on you. I look forward to your development and growth. With that said, he manipulated the board and flew towards a reef not far away. Behind the reef, there is a small boat. Of course, Zhou Lin didn't know that Yi Xiao had already visited Capet franchise, otherwise he would have jumped up for joy. He is now manipulating the cube to float in the air, looking at Bonus who was killing randomly on a pirate ship below, and then yawned. This time I took Bonus to Alabasta, but Bonus didn't even have a chance to do it. This made the militant Bonus a little itchy. Although he kept silent because of his personality, Zhou Lin could see it to some extent, so when he encountered a pirate halfway, he asked Bonus to go down and fight. This was just in line with Bonus's wishes, and it was a joy to kill. And before doing it, Zhou Lin had to make sure who these pirates were, and whether they had a burning, killing, and looting character could really be seen at a glance. Many pirates should be killed, so there is no need to worry about anything. After killing them, just collect the pirate ship. In this way, Cape Franz has one more ship, which can be used as a merchant ship by changing the sails at that time. In addition, there are generally a lot of money and materials on the pirate ship, which can be brought back to supply the country, and also avoid the shortage of materials during the retreat. After destroying the 3 pirate ships, Bonus was finally satisfied. Zhou Lin turned the pirate ship into a small cube and put it away, and continued to fly the cube in the direction of Cape franchise. The trip to Alabasta is over, so I need to restrain myself for a while. I happen to have a lot of devil fruit in my hand, so I still have to think about who to share it with. When the fruits are distributed, a good team can basically be formed by then. In addition, the fact that he was not in Capet Franc has been exposed. In order to prevent other forces from attacking, he had better go back quickly. It's just that when I arrived near Cape Francier, I met an unexpected person. I saw a coffin ship just passing by. On the coffin ship was a bold and grandiose handsome tall man with a big black knife on his back, a black coat and a black top hat. Who else could there be besides Mahawk? Looking at the direction of the coffin ship, it seems that 977 is going to Cape Franc. Then, the purpose is self-evident. Hawkeye also spotted the cube in the air, raised his head and directly locked onto Zhou Lin, his eyes showing fighting intent. Boss, it's Hawkeye. Bonus was eager to try. Although Bonus is not a swordsman, he once sneered at swordsmen, thinking that swordsmen cannot break through their own defenses. Even if Zhou Lin broke the defense before, but after learning armament hockey, this idea came up again. He felt that with his fruit ability and armed defense, even a great swordsman would not be able to break through it. Well, except for the boss. So, now meeting this Hawkeye who has become the world's #1 swordsman with the highest voice, how could he not want to fight? Zhou Lin nodded, and then dropped the cube down, facing Hawkeye. Hawkeye said directly, I heard that you know Golden Lion's sword skills, and you are also a great swordsman. So, fight with me. As he spoke, he was about to draw his knife. Zhou Lin pointed in one direction and said, there is a deserted island over there, let's fight there. After speaking, directly control the cube to fly ahead and lead the way. Hawkeye didn't refuse when he saw this, and quickly set up a boat to keep up, and arrived on the deserted island not long after. As soon as he got ashore, he began to draw his sword, and the fighting spirit burst out unreservedly in his eyes. Zhou Lin smiled and pointed to his thugs, Bonus wants to fight you first, so you can treat it as a warm-up. As soon as the words fell, Bonus's hands turned into blades, covered with armament hockey, and disappeared from the spot with a bang. Shave. Dust slash. I saw that Bonus had already flashed in front of Hawkeye, crossing the blades of both hands and rushing forward, densely slashing at the same time. Since he is almost the #1 swordsman in the world, he shouldn't mind being attacked. Hawkeye swung his knife expressionlessly, but he was already behind Bonus. Bonus was stunned for a moment, and then couldn't help shrinking his pupils. He saw that his moat slash was directly torn apart, the so-called defense was ripped apart like rags, and a long and deep knife mark was cut on his chest instantly. PFF'd. Blood splashed from the knife marks. PFF'd. Bonus spewed blood and fell to the ground. Jolin pulled out Sakura 10 and Deadwood with a smile. "Hey, Bonnie, you're not dead, how do you feel?" Bonus replied with difficulty, "Good, so strong." Then she passed out gorgeously. Jolin took a look and found that Hawkeye was being merciful to the face-saving subordinates, so he immediately used cubes to push Ponisto far away, and then faced Hawkeye. Putting on a double knife posture, the momentum suddenly became sharp. Hawkeye hooked his lips in satisfaction, stepped forward without hesitation, and swept the big and long black knife directly at Jolin's waist. Jolin's waist sank, and his two knives moved forward. He successfully blocked and bounced off the tentative knife, and then swung his two knives to launch an attack. Hawkeye defended with a horizontal knife, and faced Jolin's attack calmly. After dozens of moves, Hawkeye seemed to see the direction of Jolin's two-handed sword, so he launched a counterattack after a wave of defense, and the fierce swordsmanship quickly defeated Jolin. Good guy, this guy's swordsmanship has reached an extremely advanced level, and he even managed to tie a. You should at least give the moves a name. Tired of dealing with it, Jolin hastily tried his best to use all the sword skills of Golden Lion and Pika, and began to fuse the two sword skills continuously, and freely used moves according to the battle situation. The two are simply competing in swordsmanship, hockey and other abilities are not used. But after some fighting, Jolin knew deeply that he was really far inferior to Hawkeye in swordsmanship. This guy seems to exist for the sake of swordsmanship. The move to level A seems simple, but it gives people a feeling of simplifying the complexity, as if he has returned to the basics. 0. I can't hide from it, I can't block it, it feels very scary. If it wasn't for Golden Lion's swordsmanship, Jolin would have been defeated long ago. But Jolin is not an idiot, he seems to have inherited the aptitude of Golden Lion and Pika. As time goes by, he has begun to constantly comprehend, and his swordsmanship has also begun to grow. This is different from absorbing other people's sword skills, but belongs to Jolin's own growth. And the new swordsmanship learned will also belong to Jolin. Hawkeye also seemed to see something, and immediately increased his offensive. The big black long knife suddenly slashed downwards, and the huge slash reached Jolin not far away in the blink of an eye. Thousand Slice Valley. Jolin quickly also slashed. However, unlike Hawkeye, although Jolin's slashing strikes were huge, they were also quite numerous. The slashes of the two sides collided in an instant, and there was a stalemate between the two, and a terrifying wind field was formed, and even the wind became extremely sharp. A crack was torn open on the ground, and the surrounding trees and rocks were also torn into pieces. It can be seen that the slashes of both sides are extremely terrifying. In the next instant, the Thousand Slice Valley slashes began to shatter continuously, and Hawkeye's slashes were as powerful as a bamboo, forcibly breaking through the obstacles and reaching Jolin. I'm going to go. This trick is too good. Jolin couldn't help admiring, hurriedly hit a slash wave with all his strength, and finally smashed Hawkeye's sub-A slash. Then he took a deep breath, repositioned his posture, his hands began to cover armament hockey, and wrapped around the double knives along the palms, and the double knives seemed to become black knives. Hawkeye saw it, and armament hockey was also wrapped around the big black knife. Jolin used hockey first, then admitted that his sword skills were not as good as Hawkeye, and now he started to fight hockey. Although hockey and swordsmanship are not in the same system, truly powerful swordsmen will know how to integrate hockey into swordsmanship, so it is indispensable to compete with hockey. The reason why Hawkeye was able to ascend to the position of the world's #1 swordsman is undoubtedly hockey's powerful guy. It is estimated that not only the armed color will be released, but the Conqueror's winding will definitely not be less. Otherwise, how could it become the #1 in the world? Huge slash wave. Jolin erupted suddenly, and the pair of knives slashed forward suddenly. The two huge slashes seemed to be surrounded by purple-black thunder and lightning. Hawkeye's eyes were filled with excitement, and he also concentrated his strength to unleash an incomparably huge slash. Black lightning could be seen wreaking havoc with the naked eye on that slash, as if a punishment from the sky, very terrifying. Bang! The slashes of both sides collided. The violent collision caused terrifying fluctuations, which actually shook the entire island. Countless rocks and trees were lifted up one after another and exploded on the sea, even causing a tsunami. Moreover, the shock waves spread outwards in bursts, and the deserted island that was already devastated suddenly began to fall apart. The tsunami is also one after another, just like the end of the world. Bonus, who was originally in a coma, was also awakened by the shock. Looking at the terrifying scene, fear flashed in the depths of his pupils for the first time, and his heart was deeply shocked. This is the battle between great swordsmen. This is Conqueror's hockey conflict. Very scary. At this moment, Bonus finally realized how naive his previous self-confidence was. His so-called defense against such a force was like an ant riding a blade into a storm in the sea. There is no other possibility except destruction. And Xiao Xiao, who was hovering around Capet Frank, also looked in the direction of the deserted island at this time. The citizens of Cape Franchi thought that there was a storm on the deserted island. After all, this kind of weather often appeared on the Grand Line, but Yi Xiao knew deeply that this was a battle between two top powerhouses. Conqueror's conflict. Good, your strength is reassuring. With a smile, he showed a smile, and then manipulated the board to fly closer to the deserted island. But no one else knew about this duel between great swordsmen. Because Hawkeye is extremely powerful and likes to go alone, no force dares to follow it casually. But Zhou Lin was flying over the sea, and no one could follow him. But a smile wiped out Capet Frank's surrounding eyes at this time. This also created a situation where no other forces knew about the duel. That's right, no one will bother you. Bang! The slashes of both sides died together. But Zhou Lin rushed forward suddenly, twining his swords around Conqueror's hockey and slashing down on his head. But Hawkeye didn't give up, and slanted his swords upwards to meet Zhou Lin's double swords. Before the swords touched, the Conqueror's hockey had another impact, which once again caused a drastic change. However, it is estimated that even the sinking of the deserted island will not stop their battle. The two made moves one after another, without much of the previous skills of fighting swordsmanship, and more of a comparison of strength. Hawkeye's Conqueror's hockey is extremely terrifying, and the Conqueror's entanglement is also extremely powerful. Under Zhou Lin's continuous onslaught, he not only blocks it with ease, but also continuously launches counterattacks. Over time, Zhou Lin's injuries continued to increase. Of course, Hawkeye was also quite embarrassed, but his injury was much lighter than that of Zhou Lin, and the more he fought, the more courageous he was, the more excited he was. It seemed that the stronger Zhou Lin was, the happier Hawkeye would be. Moreover, Hawkeye also discovered that Zhou Lin's observation hockey was a weakness, so he predicted Zhou Lin's predictions many times, and constantly added wounds to Zhou Lin. However, Zhou Lin's skin was rough and fleshy, and even though she was covered in blood, she still stood firm. The fight between the two lasted for a day and a night. After a collision at dawn, the entire deserted island sank into the sea, but the battle between the two was still not over. Bonus lay on Hawkeye's coffin boat, watching the battle intently. In fact, he has long been forced to stay away from the battle circle, and finally had to use Hawkeye's coffin boat to escape, and the coffin boat was pushed further and further away by the continuous tsunami. When he saw the desert island sinking, Bonus was already numb. Then, Zhou Lin and Hawkeye stepped on the floating trees on the sea and kept jumping, colliding in the air again. This time, he tried his best to trigger a tsunami again, but Zhou Lin fell down with blood on the corner of his mouth, just hitting a broken tree. Hee, Hawkeye, you won. Zhou Lin lay still. Hawkeye landed not far from Zhou Lin. You don't have the fruit ability, otherwise your slash will be more dangerous. Zhou Lin smiled and said, Hee, what you are looking for is a swordsmanship competition. If I use the fruit ability to win, how can you be willing? And I also want to see if I can really beat you in swordsmanship. But you lost. After trying your best, you lost. Yeah, I'm defeated. Are you going to kill me? After the red hair lost his arm, I don't want to fight with him anymore. There are very few people who can be my opponent, so why not save your life? And you are still so young. When you grow up, you should give me more surprises. And what? Hawkeye didn't say. But the deep meaning in the eyes is self-evident. How could he fail to see that Jolin still had energy left? Even though he admitted his defeat in swordsmanship, Jolin's physical fitness is extremely terrifying, and he must have combat experience. If he really wants to kill Jolin, then Jolin will definitely use his fruit ability to fight back. At that time, he will not worry about whether it is swordsmanship. That's more than worth the candle. Jolin smiled without saying a word. He knew that as an eagle-eyed person, after the opponent surrendered, he would not make another move. Hawkeye is a strong man who wants to reach the pinnacle of swordsmanship, and he will not even tolerate an opponent who admits defeat. Instead, he expects that opponent will become stronger and come back to challenge again. Of course, the lives and deaths of those unknown people are irrelevant. Hawkeye is very busy and has no time to remember the names of the weak. Hawkeye silently inserted the black knife back, and then looked at Bonus in the distance. Bonus also rowed over immediately, first looked at Hawkeye warily, and then quickly jumped to Jolin's side. "Boss, are you all right? How's the battle going?" Bonus said with concern in his voice. The current Bonus is really very loyal, not only convinced of Jolin's strength, but also remembering Jolin's kindness in teaching him to become stronger, so he subconsciously cares about Jolin's situation. Jolin said with a smile, "I lost, but I'm fine." "Did you lose?" Even a powerful swordsman like the boss lost. No wonder Hawkeye is considered the #1 swordsman in the world by so many people. Hawkeye jumped onto the coffin boat and wanted to leave. Jolin said suddenly, "Mahawk, your injury is not serious. If you leave alone now, you may be taken advantage of by others. It would be very lenient to die like that." Hawkeye didn't turn his head back. A truly strong man will not be killed by a despicable villain even if he is seriously injured. "Really? Then how about I treat you to a drink? It's a good time for us to discuss the issue of swordsmanship. What do you think?" "I love wine." Quote, Hawkeye was brought to Cape Francais. Then I saw the soldiers at the dock and the working people warmly welcome Jolin, with respectful and loving smiles on their faces. At this moment, Hawkeye understood. The rumors are probably wrong. This country is hiding something from the outside world. Jolin smiled and said, "Mahawk, give me face. What you see and hear in this country, don't tell anyone before it is exposed, not even your good friend Hongfa." Hawkeye was expressionless. "I don't have a hobby of 8 trigrams. Also, what do you mean by good friends?" Good friends and good brothers. The redhead and I are not friends, but rivals." "Well, whatever you want. In short, you should keep it secret." Jolin is quite at ease with Hawkeye. Hawkeye only pays attention to swordsmanship and doesn't care about everything else, let alone gossiping, so he is not worried that he will reveal the truth here. Burr and Roman rushed to greet them. Seeing Jolin and Bonus in such a mess, they couldn't help worrying. Moreover, the two couldn't help being wary when they looked at Hawkeye. When Hawkeye became 7 warlords of the sea, there were naturally photos posted, which means that Hawkeye is now with Marine, so we have to guard against it. "Boss, are you okay? Who can beat you like this?" Burr asked with concern. "Oh, I was just exchanging swordsmanship with Hawkeye." Jolin laughed and said, "Don't be so vigilant. Although Hawkeye is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, he only cares about swordsmanship and won't talk nonsense." Burr and Roman breathed a sigh of relief when they heard the words. Jolin quickly asked Roman to call the doctor, and after the doctor gave simple treatment, he asked Burr to bring some side dishes. As for wine, Jolin has no shortage of it. After killing Capone Beige in West Blue, they took away all the supplies on Capone Island, including a large amount of wine. Although he gave a large part to Drago, he also left a lot for himself. Enough to drink for a long time. What's more, Capone Beige also knows how to enjoy. He hoards high-quality wines, which should be able to cope with the eagle-eyed eagle eyes. Jolin specially invited Hawkeye to the beach, took out a bunch of wine with a smile, and poured it for him. "Come and taste. This is the wine produced in the West Blue Grape Town." Hawkeye picked up the wine glass and sniffed it, took another sip, and finally didn't dislike it. It may not be as good as his family's wine, but it's much better than the bad wine on the red-haired boat. But he took a look at the appetizers, and immediately said with disgust, "Small bacteria are not good." Jolin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Mr. Hawkeye, you are really hard to serve. You said you like wine, but now that the wine is out, do you dislike side dishes? Wine and food are not branch house, good wine and good food are more enjoyable. Okay, I know you are good at cooking, why don't you sell me the supreme kitchen knife in your house? Hawkeye glanced at Jolin, but didn't speak. How can there be any supreme kitchen knife in his house? This guy really likes to joke. Jolin also poured himself a glass of wine, sipping it while admiring the sea, feeling the sea breeze blowing on his cheeks was very comfortable, and the whole person was also very comfortable. He did not forget the so-called exchange of sword skills. Mahawk, many people now say that you are the world's #1 swordsman, what do you think? Jolin raised the topic. There is no first in swordsmanship, only stronger. Hawkeye said seriously. It's true, and the #1 in the world is just a name after all. You go to the top just to see if there is a higher peak, and you don't care about the name at all. Why? You can see my thoughts. My lifelong wish is to explore the ultimate state of swordsmanship. However, the way of the sword is endless. Haha, you're right, the way of swordsmanship is endless, that's why people are so fascinated. Even if you dedicate your whole life to it, as long as you can keep moving forward, you will have no regrets. Maybe it was because of drinking, or maybe it was because they were discussing their favorite kendo. Hawkeye inevitably talked more. In fact, Hawkeye is really simple, and the word kendo can sum up his life. He only lives for the way of the sword. What justice, what One Piece, what great secret treasure, what history, all have nothing to do with him, he just wants to keep climbing the peak of the way of swordsman. Such a person, even if he is alone, thinks that he will live a wonderful life. Jolin couldn't help being envious. So Jolin asked again, Mahawk, what do you think the strongest slash should be like? Hawkeye said without hesitation, the strongest slash is the slash that you want. You can cut what you want to cut, but you can't cut what you don't want to cut. Haha, that's a good idea. Then what can you cut through now? Mountains, islands, the sea. I can cut through everything you said. What about the red line? Jolin, are you showing off how you dug through the reversing mountain? But the red line is too thick, I think I can cut it, but I can't cut it open. Quote. What about sea stone? The sea stone is the hardest, and it has a mysterious power that I can't cut through. What about the historical text? That thing is indestructible, although I haven't tried it, but I think it should be indestructible. Quote. Hawkeye answered the questions one by one, and suddenly found that he couldn't cut through so many things. It seemed that there was still a good choice for the strongest cut. But this is also good, you can try it in the future. When one day you can cut one more thing, your swordsmanship will become more sophisticated. It seems that drinking with Jolin this time is not fruitless. Jolin has a different way of thinking, and the questions he asks can open up new ideas. The two continued to chat, clinking glasses while discussing. It was all about kendo, and there was no other topic. Until dawn the next day, the wine that was taken out had been drunk, and the two of them also passed out drunk on the shore. 2 days later, Hawkeye's injuries were fully recovered, and he didn't stay too long, so he said goodbye and left. However, he said that next time he would discuss with Jolin, and he would bring his own wine collection, so that Jolin would remember to prepare delicious snacks. This made Jolin very helpless, but he agreed. It seems that he had a drink with Hawkeye, but he became rival and friend with Hawkeye. This is not bad, Hawkeye will not intrigue with you, so don't be on guard, such a friend is the most reassuring. In addition, when Zoro and Kuina are found in the future, they should be able to introduce each other to each other. I believe Hawkeye will also pay attention to these two little guys with extraordinary talent in swordsmanship. I just don't know if Kuina survived the death or not. But don't die. Be sure to grow into a beautiful female swordsman, then fall in love with another man, and make Zoro's hair greener. After a while, the new 7 Warlords of the Sea was published in the newspapers. Moria Pirates, Captain Gecko Moria. Captain of the 9 Snake Pirates, Boa Hancock. This time, it sparked heated discussions on the sea again. When the 7 Warlords of the Sea system was promulgated, many people resented it, but no one dared to oppose it publicly. After all, it was proposed and implemented by the world government. Just the other day, Crocodile was killed by Cube Kid. This made many people's faces very exciting, and the sea was full of noise. Some people praised Cube Boy for being so brave that he actually used practical actions to oppose the system of the world government. Some people are mocking Cube Boy for wanting to die. He will be sent to impel down by Marines sooner or later. It's just that when the news of Zhou Lin's defeat of Aokiji came out, many people fell silent. Zhou Lin's strength exceeded everyone's expectations. And Marine hasn't moved much lately. It feels like Marine is afraid of Zhou Lin. It doesn't matter if he doesn't avenge Crocodile, and he doesn't even show up to Aokiji, the Vice Admiral. This is a bit weird. But the few people who can get the inside information are a little numb. Because the Marine executives and the world government seem to advocate the recruitment of Zhou Lin as the new Shichibukai, I don't know what they think. When Zhou Lin read the newspaper, he also started to make plans in his heart. Moria's shadow fruit is very good, and she just came back from Wanokuni, and she must have Longma's corpse and underworld autumn water. It is worth Zhou Lin's trip. As for whether Moria is Shichibukai, Zhou Lin doesn't care. Moreover, as soon as the Shichibukai system was promulgated, 2 Shichibukai were killed one after another. I believe it will be very interesting, and it will definitely make the world government and Marine suffer. But the consequence of doing that is that they will receive special care from the world government and Marine. With Zhou Lin's current strength, there is no need to be afraid. As for Capet Franch's safety, if it is impossible, he will give the lion fruit to someone, and then send the country to the sky. On this day, the lookout suddenly found a warship approaching. The alarm was sounded immediately. Zhou Lin looked at it curiously, and found that it was a dog-headed warship. The corner of his mouth couldn't help twitching. He immediately ordered Burr and Bonnies to be alert, and then flew over alone on a cube. It didn't take long to land on the warship. The warship also stopped approaching Cape Franche. Standing on the dog's head of the warship, Zhou Lin glanced across the deck and saw Garp eating senbei and Bogart with a cool face, and 2 unexpected people. Smoker and Hina. Why are these 2 guys here again? Do you suspect something? Besides, this girl Hina is disobedient, she is still smoking. Zhou Lin murmured to himself, and then took the initiative to say, Old man Garp, what are you doing here? Could it be that you came here specifically to catch me? Garp laughed out loud when he heard the words, ha ha ha. I heard that you occupied other people's country, so I came to see if it's true. Why don't you wait at the pier, and I want to go to the island to have a look. There's no need to go to the island. I'm afraid that if you make a sudden move, won't you blow up the territory I've managed to occupy? You little devil is really annoying. Is this old man the kind of messy person? Yes, the guy who raises his grandson Bandit alone, isn't he messing around? Ha 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 ha, that's right. Garp laughed so hard that he sprayed out the senbei crumbs. Fortunately, he was far away from Zhou Lin, otherwise he would definitely be sprayed in the face. But don't look at Garp smiling, he is actually wary of Zhou Lin. If he didn't specifically inquire about the fact that he entrusted his grandson to Dayton to take care of him, he shouldn't have known about it at all. In other words, this square kid has been secretly inquiring about his family. Who the hell is this guy? And what is the purpose of being active in the sea? Garp wanted to ask, but he also knew that Zhou Lin couldn't speak, so he had to explain his purpose. You made a lot of noise. You not only killed Crocodile, but also seriously injured Aokiji. Marine AJDB didn't intend to let you go. But because of your strength, I decided to recruit you to serve Shichibukai and contribute to the peace of the sea. You agree quickly. Huh, make me Shichibukai. Zhou Lin was stunned, but he didn't expect this to happen. I don't know whose idea it is. Can Aokiji bear it after being beaten like that? But if you think about it carefully, it seems that nothing is impossible. Whitebeard 2 Wable also killed many Zephyr's students, and even broke Zephyr's hands. For the so-called balance of the sea, the world government really doesn't care about anything. Even if someone in the Marine objected, they would not dare to disobey the order of the world government. But Zhou Lin had a strange expression on his face. I said, Old man Garp, Shichibukai is one of the 7 powerful pirates. I am not a pirate, you Marines have found the wrong person. Garp stared. You've already robbed a country, what's the difference between you and pirates? Sengoku still steals your senbei, isn't Sengoku also a pirate? How do you know that, kid? No, how can this be the same? If you snatch a mere senbei, you will snatch it. I am willing to be snatched by Sengoku, can you control it? Hehe, Caput Frank is just an island country. If I rob it, I will rob it. The citizens are still willing to be robbed by me. Can you marine control it? What a boy. You know how to use strong words. Didn't I learn this from you? Jolin didn't give in. In short, I'm not a pirate. Don't confuse me with a pirate. It's impossible for Wu Hai to be one. Garp still fights for it. Don't refuse so quickly, or think about it more. You don't like being wanted, do you? Think about it. It's not impossible. Then give me 10 years to think about it. PFF. 10 years. You treat people like fools. Not only did Garp spray, but the sailors on the deck were also speechless. Smoker and Hina had been glaring at Jolin from the very beginning, and they couldn't hold back after hearing this. This square kid was just playing around with Vice Admiral Garp. But Garp can also see that this kid has no idea of becoming a Shichibukai at all. So I didn't bother to persuade any more, but rubbed my fists. Hey, since you don't want to be Shichibukai, you're still the wanted criminal. I shouldn't have a problem catching you. I let you go last time, so don't try to run away this time. Hee, wouldn't it be over sooner? Jolin is not afraid of Garp now. Isn't it just conquerors winding an armed color? You can do it and I can do it, it depends on who can carry it better. No matter how strong Garp is, he is still old, and he is young and thick-skinned. If you don't believe me, you can't handle him. Although a little arrogant, it can also be understood as self-confidence. If you are always afraid of this and that, you don't need to do anything, it's better to find a deserted island and lie flat. Of course, Jolin is not underestimating Garp, but the current situation is favorable to Jolin. In addition to the fact that this ship can be used as a hostage, this ship can also be turned into a cube at any time. The only people who can fly on the boat are Smoker. Garp and Bogart can also use moonwalk to stay in the air. When ordinary people fall into the sea, Garp will be completely passive. However, that is a tactic only used when you can't beat him. Jolin also wants to test the gap between himself and Garp, so that he can more accurately position his own strength. But before Jolin and Garp could do it, a grumpy guy couldn't wait. White Snake. Phew. Snow White punched Garp from behind. It's Smoker, the Smoker who couldn't hold back. Hey, Smoker, you're too impulsive. Garp reprimanded, but stood there watching the show. Seeing this, Jolin immediately raised his hand to grab Smoker's fist, and then squeezed it hard. Suddenly, there was a crackling bone sound from Smoker's fist, and Smoker took a deep breath in pain. But Smoker was obviously not convinced, and his body turned into smoke and flew up to Jolin. The other hand pulled out 10 hands and swept towards Jolin's head. Jolin took a sudden step forward, and before his 10 hands could fall, his fist had already landed on Smoker's stomach. He didn't fly him, but made Smoker arch in pain, and fell on the deck like a curled-up shrimp superior. The gap is so large that no effort is required at all. Moreover, Jolin also started a mental attack. You fell down before I exerted any force. Smoker was suddenly out of breath, couldn't help but took a puff of the cigarette, and then began to cough non-stop. The more he coughed, his whole face turned red. Can you believe that people with the ability to smoke fruit are choked by smoke? Mr. Smoker, get out of the way and let Hina come. Hina stretched out her hand suddenly, and her arm turned into an iron fence, blocking Jolin's sides, but before she could make a move, Jolin suddenly disappeared and was behind her in the next second. Then Jolin reached out and took out the cigarette from Hina's mouth, and threw it into the sea. I told you that if you are so beautiful, don't smoke. If you smoke too much, you will get wrinkles and irregular menstruation. Why don't you listen to me, girl? Jolin's words sounded in Hina's ears, which immediately made Hina's face full of embarrassment and anger. And everyone else looked at her and Jolin with strange eyes, and many sea soldiers also had heartbroken expressions on their faces. Those who didn't know thought she had some special relationship with Jolin. You fool. Hina is angry. Hina turned around and hit her long legs, but Jolin grabbed her ankle with one hand. This exquisite curve almost blinded Jolin's dog eyes. Fortunately, Jolin thought he was a gentleman, so he threw Hina in the direction of the cabin with a force in his hand, and Hina immediately smashed onto the cabin magnificently. Fortunately, Jolin didn't use too much force, otherwise the cabin would have to be smashed through. Garp picked his nostrils at this moment, and said angrily, "Square boy, you are so good at such a beautiful girl as Hina, you don't know how to be sympathetic." Jolin rolled his eyes directly. "Come on, if I act softly, I will definitely be called a big pervert. Anyway, what I do is wrong, I prefer to be a ruthless person rather than being a pervert. Ha 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 ha, with your appearance, you won't be able to find a wife in the future. HMPH. It's a big deal to take this Hina lieutenant commander captive to be his wife, can you stop it?" As soon as this remark came out, it could be regarded as stabbing a hornet's nest. All the sailors looked angry, wishing they could tear Jolin to pieces. Thinking about it, most of the sailors are men, and they go out to sea to hunt down pirates all the year round, and it is rare to see female sailors. Now a beautiful and Hina lieutenant commander finally came, and everyone has long been in love with her. Just now I saw Jolin so ignorant of pity and sympathy, I couldn't help but explode, but now I hear Jolin's words, it's strange if I don't explode. Good guy, if you dare to snatch our goddess Hina, we will fight with you. So I don't know who yelled first, and then the sailors rushed up one by one, thinking that they were infected with some strange disease in their crazy appearance. Jolin was also rude, and directly raised 10 and fell into the sea. Let these guys sober up. Smoker, who was still lying on the deck, was stunned. What's wrong with them? Could it be that they suddenly got mad? At this time, Bogart slowly drew his knife. Smoker, that is to say, you are too incomprehensible to understand. If you continue to act like this, you will be doomed to be single for the rest of your life. After finishing speaking, he dodged to Jolin's side, and the knife went straight to Jolin's head. Jolin suddenly felt the danger, and immediately drew out his knife to block, and then drew out another knife with the other hand to fight back, forcing Bogart to choose to retreat. Oh, as expected of the person who followed Garp to hunt down Roger, his strength is not bad. Jolin kicked away all the remaining sailors and put on a posture to confront Bogart. This Bogart has been Garp's adjutant for a long time, and he followed Garp when he hunted down the Roger pirates. It's not clear how strong he is, but what is certain is that when Garp was fighting Roger, he was sure that Bogart was fighting Rayleigh. So, at least it can match Rayleigh's strength. Then it should not be underestimated. Hina also came back at this time and pulled Smoker on the deck aside. Smoker also asked hesitantly, "Hina, what happened to everyone just now? Why are you all acting like crazy? What does Adjutant Bogart mean?" When Hina heard this, she immediately pushed Smoker away, obviously angry. "This guy is too stupid, don't let him go shopping next time." But Hina couldn't help being ashamed and angry when she looked at Jolin. This guy molested her twice, and just now threatened to take her as his wife. What a big villain. But there is no way, who let her beat him? I don't know if Adjutant Bogart's strength can defeat Jolin. If he can't, he can only rely on Vice Admiral Garp. Jolin and Bogart continued to confront each other, without doing anything for a long time, but the atmosphere became serious. At this time, Jolin also regretted a little. He forgot to take Bogart into consideration just now. If Garp and Bogart fight together, then he really can't handle it. It seems that you have to plan to fail. Swish. Bogart disappeared suddenly, and in the next second he was in front of Jolin, and a knife stabbed Jolin's left shoulder at this moment. Jolin quickly drew his saber to block it, and stabbed forward with the other saber, forcing Bogart back again, but Jolin took the opportunity to bully him, and pressed him with his double-knife swordsmanship. For a while, Bogart was defeated steadily. Oh, it really is the old rooster's swordsmanship. Garp watched the battle with great interest, but his eyes were full of surprise. He has fought against Golden Lion many times, and he is naturally very familiar with Golden Lion's two-handed swordsmanship. Now seeing Jolin's swordsmanship, it is exactly the same as Golden Lion's. Moreover, the two famous swords of Sakura-ten and Deadwood were originally Golden Lion's sabers. Those who didn't know thought it was the Golden Lion himself. But Jolin is definitely not a Golden Lion, and his appearance, age, and fruit are different. So, what is the relationship between Jolin and the Golden Lion? Where is the current Golden Lion, and is it dead or alive? In less than a minute, Jolin and Bogart fought hundreds of moves, almost on par. Of course, this is also related to the subconscious power of the two. If the output is too strong, the warship will be destroyed. But people with a discerning eye can see that shows that Bogart is slightly at a disadvantage. Smoker and Hina were dumbfounded. When Jolin fought the flying squirrel last time, Smoker and Hina didn't think much of it. They only knew that the flying squirrel was easily defeated, and then they learned that Aokiji was defeated. It was even more horrifying. Aokiji's strength is beyond doubt, but such Aokiji was defeated. Simply incredible. So when the two learned that Garp was coming to find Jolin, they simply came together by dog-headed boat. I just want to see Garp teach Jolin a lesson. After all, the relationship between Garp and Aokiji is very good. Aokiji was beaten like that. I don't believe that Garp will let Jolin go. Now it is true that he has done something to Jolin, but it is different from what he imagined. Adjutant Bogart, who once fought against Pluton Rayleigh, can't beat Jolin. In other words, is it true that Jolin defeated Aokiji? At this time, Garp looked impatiently, and directly threw the coat of justice on his shoulders aside, rubbed his fists and opened his mouth carelessly. Bogart, stand down, the old man will do it himself. As he said that, he jumped up suddenly, and threw his fist several times bigger than the sandbag fiercely at Jolin's head. Bogart immediately retreated, but Jolin backhanded /wave straight to Garp. Drink. With a long roar, Garp easily shattered the /wave with one punch, then turned around 720 degrees in the air, and slashed towards Jolin with his heel. But Jolin did not retreat but advanced, and his double sword circled the royal family. Boom! The conqueror's hockey of the two collided violently. Heels and blades were in a stalemate, and the conqueror's hockey continued to burst out. The terrible shock wave immediately shattered the warship. Bogart's expression changed. Vice Admiral Garp, stop fighting. Soldiers are in danger. Garp was taken aback for a moment, and immediately stopped his feet and turned over to the ground. Only then did I see the tragic condition of the warship, and the sailors were taken away by the tsunami like dead fish, looking very miserable. Garp jumped into the sea without hesitation, swam towards the sailors, and then threw the sailors one by one towards the warship. Bogart followed suit, throwing a group of sailors over in the blink of an eye. Smoker and Hina quickly recovered from the shock, and decisively used the fruit ability to catch the sailors one by one. It didn't take long. All the soldiers who fell into the sea were rescued on the warship. At the end, Smoker and Hina stared at Jolin fiercely. Garp took off his coat in embarrassment, twisted the water continuously, and stared at Jolin with unkind eyes. Square boy, the soldiers on this ship of the old man were almost killed by you, and this warship was also destroyed by you. You said you how to pay. Jolin stared back on the spot. You guys made the first move, it's none of my business. Good boy, do you want to renege on your debt? It has nothing to do with me in the first place. What an ass. If you don't accept it, come back and fight again. By then, none of these sailors will be spared. Garp was at a loss for words. He finally knew where Jolin's confidence came from. In addition to being strong enough, it is also because the sailors of this warship, once they fight, he has to worry about the safety of the sailors, and even care about the damage of the warship. In this way, it is completely passive. It is also completely at the discretion of the other party. You are very bad boy. Let me give you a step. You are not to blame for the soldiers falling into the sea, but you have to pay for the damage of the warship. The old man doesn't ask too much, just bet that one ship will grow old. Hee, easy to say. Jolin suddenly readily agreed, leaving Garp stunned for a while. Why is this kid so talkative all of a sudden? I saw Jolin directly took out a small cube and threw it into the sea. The small cube immediately turned into a pirate ship, and the supplies on the ship had already been moved. Which means it's an empty ship. Hey, here's the boat for you, go over quickly. Jolin urged. You're so kind, Garp asked suspiciously. Don't forget it, I'll put it away right away. Yes, definitely, ha ha ha, I gave it all, how can I take it back? After Garp finished speaking, he immediately ordered the sailors to board the pirate ship, and also moved some supplies from the warship to the ship. When everyone was transferred to the pirate ship, Jolin suddenly asked, don't you want this warship? Take it away quickly, and leave it here as an eyesore. Garp picked his nostrils and said, I don't care if it's an eyesore or not, anyway, I can't take it with me. That is to say, this warship is really gone. No, I'll give it to you if you want it, anyway, it's become tattered. That's what you said. Jolin waited for this sentence, and immediately put his hand on the broken warship, and the warship immediately turned into squares and then reassembled under Zhou Lin's control. In less than 10 seconds, a complete dog-headed warship reappeared on the sea. Garp and the others were stunned for a moment, never expecting that Zhou Lin could do such a thing. Cubic fruit, so terrifying. Cubic boy, this lead. Haha, this warship is already mine. Zhou Lin laughed, turned the warship into a small cube and put it away. Seeing the dumbfounded expressions of Garp and others, he really felt much happier. It's worth it to exchange a pirate ship for a warship. In fact, it is also possible not to pay the boat, but Zhou Lin was worried that Garp would not leave, so he agreed decisively. In addition, he also used words to lure Garp to say that he didn't want the warship, and then took it as it should. As for why it is necessary to splice and repair the ship face to face, it can only be said to be a joke. Anyway, Garp has already said that he will give him the boat, so why dare to go back? Square boy, why didn't you tell me earlier that you can repair the ship? Return the warship right now, I don't want this pirate ship anymore. Garp's stern face exceeded Zhou Lin's expectations. What else? The warship is already mine, and you said you gave it to me, and you want to renege on it. Zhou Lin will not be spoiled by this old man. Good boy, so I was waiting for the old man here. Let's see if the old man teaches you a lesson. Come on, when the time comes, this pirate ship will also be smashed, let you all swim back to Marineford. Hey, how dare you threaten the old man? Hee, so what if I threaten you, come and bite me. Come over here, this old man will kill you. HMPH, if you let me go, I'll go. Don't I lose face? If you have the guts, come here by yourself. Garp and Zhou Lin scolded each other in the air, it was a joy. Seeing this, the others couldn't help but touch their foreheads. Especially Bogart, there is a familiar helplessness on his face. It is said that old children are old children, the older Garp is, the more he looks like a child. In addition to being powerful, his behavior reveals childishness everywhere. Such a person is a marine hero, can you believe it? In addition, Cube Boy is muddy, we really think we are afraid of you. After scolding each other for a long time, Garp must have been tired, thinking that he not only failed to recruit Zhou Lin, but also failed to capture Zhou Lin, and then lost the dog-headed warship, feeling very upset. But it seems that Garp can't help it now. This guy Zhou Lin is really difficult to deal with, so we can only go back and discuss it with Sengoku first. So Kapu said harshly, Square boy, I will let you go again this time, and I won't bother with you about the warship. But I warn you, don't do evil things again, or the butcher will never let you go. Quote. Zhou Lin hee, I don't bother to deal with this bad old man. Instead, he waved goodbye to Hina, see you next time. Remember to stop smoking. Although you look hot when you smoke, it is really bad for your health. Next time I see you disobedient, I will hit you ass. Hina roared in embarrassment, you fool. If you dare to say one more word, Hina will kill you. Zhou Lin made a grimace, and then controlled the cube to fly towards the pier. However, Zhou Lin didn't notice, Garp took a deep look at his back, and then ordered to leave. After the pirate ship was completely away, Burr and Roman breathed a sigh of relief, but the guarding soldiers on the pier couldn't help cheering. It really scared them just now. That's marine hero Garp, the man who once captured Roger, the Pirate King. However, everyone did not expect that the leader of their own family was so strong that he dared to confront Garp alone, and he did not lose the wind, and finally beat Garp back with his advantage. Sure enough, he is worthy of being the leader, because he lied to the sky. Everyone worships Zhou Lin to the bone marrow. It can be said that the stronger Zhou Lin is, the more at ease everyone will be. However, Zhou Lin was not overly optimistic. He rejected Shichibukai's invitation, and he would definitely be targeted by the world government and Marine next. He beat Aokiji like that, Marine won't suffer from being dumb. And he touched the historical text again, and the world government will not remain silent. So, be ready for battle. Therefore, Zhou Lin handed over the chicken-shaped bird fruit to Roman, and asked this young wise man to eat it, at least to ensure Roman's health first. Zhou Lin will temporarily leave Cape Franchise in the days to come, trying not to let the trouble spread here. Therefore, Frank Capet will need the leadership of Roman and Burr for a long time, and Zhou Lin will not come back unless it is very critical. And the only one who can make Zhou Lin feel at ease is Roman. This old man's IQ is online, and he is much more reliable than Burr, who is 5 big and 3 thick, so Roman's safety must be guaranteed first. Lion fruit, bubble fruit, and golden fruit are all paramecia, which are not very helpful to health, so you can only use bird fruit. Fortunately, Roman didn't dislike it, but happily ate it. Then he swallowed the pulp with a purple face. The price of gaining ability is to eat something worse than shit and become a landlubber. Naturally, many people refuse it, but more people flock to it. After all, not everyone has the talent of Garp and Hawkeye, and they can become strong without eating fruits. This is why devil fruit can be sold so expensive. Soon, Roman felt his body rejuvenated, as if his beard had turned black, his crutches were no longer needed, and he was full of strength. This feeling is amazing. I should be able to kill a sea beast with one punch now. Roman felt the power, and then transformed into a half-human half-chicken, his hands turned into sharp wings, and under the waving, he actually cut a stone like cutting tofu. This is a bit outrageous. Immediately afterwards, Roman turned into a 2-meter-high rooster, and his sharp claws scratched the solid ground with paw prints on the spot, which looked very terrifying. What's even more outrageous is that Roman twisted his butt and actually laid an egg. Roman swept the male egg into the sea with his wings, and the egg exploded on the spot, causing a huge splash of water, and several dead fish floated up. Jolin was dumbfounded, the egg-laying rooster, the fighting chicken among the roosters oye. Burr and the soldiers also gave a thumbs up, laying rooster, fighting chicken among roosters oye. Bonus took it for granted. This is the magic of devil fruit. Even if he was an old man fighting 5 scum 1 second ago, after eating devil fruit, his combat power can reach more than 10,000 in the next second. Today's Roman is no longer the old man who needs a cane to walk, but a strong man who can kill adult soldiers. On the other side, the pirate ship sailed towards Marineford. The sailors took the initiative to use tools and paint to erase the pirate flag on the sails, otherwise the marine hero would be too ugly to take the pirate ship back to the headquarters, and would definitely be laughed at. Garp stood at the bow of the boat with his arms folded, staring at the sea without saying a word. I don't know what I'm thinking. Smoker's impatient character remained unchanged. Mr. Garp, why don't you just let Cube Boy go like this? If it's because we're dragging you down, we don't need to get close, and you can take him down yourself. Hina on the side didn't speak. She wanted to agree with Smoker, but she couldn't help but roll her eyes at Smoker. Garp shook his head decisively. Smoker, we can't touch him. Mr. Garp, what are you talking about? Are you afraid of that kid? Yes, the old man is afraid of him. He holds the lives of the people of a country in his hands. How do you ask the old man to deal with him? Quote. Smoker is at a loss for words. Smoker didn't want to take down Jolin because he was personally unhappy with Jolin, but because he wanted to save the people of Cape Franchise. But just as Garp said, the lives of the people are in the hands of Jolin, and some people still have bombs buried in their bodies. If Jolin threatens him with this, can Marine really do it? Hearing this, Hina frowned, took out the thin cigarette silently, and was about to light it when she thought of Jolin's words, and immediately put the cigarette away angrily. Hina is the most upset about Jolin. Hina felt that the guy Jolin had molested her many times, so he could directly be included in the ranks of prostitutes. In addition, the picture of the noble lady being blown up on the spot is still fresh in my memory, which made Hina very angry with Jolin. But the reality is that she can't beat Jolin. Even now that Vice Admiral Garp came in person, he couldn't take down that Jolin. This made Hina feel a sense of frustration. Can we just let that guy do whatever he wants? Isn't the justice of our Marine to save those suffering civilians? How can we let that vicious guy continue to get away with it? Hina was really angry. That's what I mean too. Smoker supported. Vice Admiral Garp, let's think of a way. We must eliminate Cube Boy. Garp nodded casually. Isn't this old man going back to discuss with Sengoku? Wait for the news. Garp, however, had a different idea in mind. He is the person who believes in intuition the most. Even when he faced a well-known pirate like Roger, he would not look at it from the eyes of the world. Instead, he thought that Roger was an open-minded guy. He even regarded Roger as a friend in his heart. Otherwise, he would not agree to help Roger raise the child. It was the same this time. he fought against Zhou Lin twice, and got to know Zhou Lin through fighting, and he intuitively believed that Zhou Lin was not the kind of character who disregarded human life. Especially last time in Mignon Island, Zhou Lin took the initiative to remind him to treat Rocinante quickly. Is this kind of person really the kind of murderer who treats human life like nothing? Anyway, Garp doesn't believe it. He always feels that Capet Frank hides a lot of secrets, and once this secret is exposed, the world may be shocked by wolves. And Zhou Lin is obviously trying his best to hide it, even if he bears the name of executioner. Of course, this is just intuition, and there is no real evidence. Garp will not casually say this to others, even to Sengoku and Vice Admiral. And as he said just now, on the surface, Zhou Lin is holding the lives of the people of a country, and Marine can't do anything. But the world government doesn't care about the life and death of ordinary people. Zhou Lin has touched something that shouldn't be touched, and the CP people will be dispatched next. Zhou Lin will definitely be in trouble by then. 5 elders will not let Zhou Lin live. At the same time, Uzumaki of New World also started to intensify. The Red Hair Pirates began to join the fray, breaking into Wano-kuni's territory directly, and fighting the Beast's pirates. Many intelligence agents in the dark saw the red-haired Shanks and Kaido of the Beasts fighting in the dark with their own eyes. Obviously, their strengths were equal, but Ben Beckman and other crew members fought against the cadres of the Beast's pirates. The whole battlefield was shocking. The battle was over in less than a day, and the Red Hair Pirates had a slight upper hand, but retreated quickly. As soon as this news came out, it immediately caused a shock in the world. Many people talk about it, and some people speculate that the red-haired Shanks will also become one of the overlords of the New World. Then someone discovered that after the Red Hair Pirates came out of the Wano-kuni Sea area, they went straight to the 10,000 Kingdoms domain of the Big Mom Pirates. Now everyone understood. The Red Hair Pirates told the whole sea by kicking the pavilion that they Red Hair Pirates have the strength to deal with the 3 emperors of the New World. And the red-haired Shanks will also become the emperor of the sea. The pattern of New World will become the pattern of 4 emperors. It was also at this time that the members of the Don Quixote pirates lurked in Dressrosa in the dark, causing the entire Dressrosa to fall into panic. 2 days later, the news carried reports related to Dressrosa. King Liku suddenly went crazy and brutally killed innocent civilians. The Don Quixote family brazenly stopped King Liku and saved the people of Dressrosa. As a matter of course, King Liku stepped down and Don Quixote Doflamingo became the new king. Such news once again caused an uproar in the world. Many people who knew King Liku expressed their disbelief. After all, King Liku loved the people like a son, so how could he attack his own people? There must be something tricky in it. And Doflamingo is a pirate, even with the name of Shichibukai, he is still a pirate. Can a vicious pirate become king? Of course, there are obviously more people who don't know, especially the people of Dressrosa. They saw King Liku riding a horse and raising a sword frantically harvesting human lives. The tragedy of that night is vivid in my memory. And really the Don Quixote family saved them, so they chose to support Doflamingo. And in New World, as long as the pirates are strong enough, they can become the king. Doflamingo is a powerful pirate, and he is a Shichibukai recognized by the world government, so he is qualified to be the king. Zhou Lin couldn't help being surprised when he saw the newspaper. It is now the Sea Circle calendar 1510. Unexpectedly, Doflamingo can't wait so much, and started to attack Dressrosa in advance. It seems that he was hit hard and wants to grow up quickly. The location of Dressrosa is very good, facing the entrance of New World on one side, and facing the whole New World on the other. It can be said that it is the most suitable for doing business. It just happened to belong to the Don Quixote family, so it's no wonder Doflamingo didn't keep an eye on it. But Doflamingo will not be happy for long, because Zhou Lin is also eyeing Dressrosa. Since Dressrosa was snatched by pirates, is it okay for Zhou Lin to snatch it? It just so happens that New World still lacks a position, and Dressrosa's position is so handsome, and so suitable for an uprising, so how could it be missed? Zhou Lin really wanted to see Doflamingo's impotent and furious look again. But at that time, Doflamingo will not be let go. String fruit will definitely be snatched, and the fruits of the Don Quixote pirates' cadres will also be snatched. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Sengoku and Crane Vice Admiral looked at Garp, who was silently eating senbei, Nuo Li Jiao, and their faces were very exciting. Unexpectedly, Garp not only failed to recruit security, but also failed to arrest him, and even lost his warship. But Garp didn't care, as if he wasn't the one who lost face. He didn't take Marine's face seriously at all, and even dared to go back to the headquarters on a pirate ship, not afraid that Marine would be humiliated. But Sengoku and Crane Vice Admiral also know Garp's tricks, and it's not easy to win Zhou Lin. Once Zhou Lin is pushed into a hurry, and he really dies together, pulling the entire Capet Frank and nearly 10,000 people behind him, then Marine's reputation will really be ruined. Moreover, Garp's mission was originally to recruit Zhou Lin as Shichibukai, and there was no capture mission. So it's not a mission failure. Sengoku could only say, "It's not easy for us Marine to make a move, so we will leave this matter to the world government themselves, and they should be able to eliminate the market brats. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."